38-10, Cowboys beat the Commanders. They are NFC East champions. They get the 2 seed in the NFC playoffs, and we now know they will be hosting the Green Bay Packers as the LA Rams have just defeated the San Francisco 49ers 21-20. How about Carson Wentz? My goodness gracious. Playing in place of Matthew Stafford as Sean McVay wanted to rest some of his starters for the Rams. That moves the LA Rams up to the 6th seed. They're going to Detroit. And because you were able to get that win last week at home against the Lions, you're the 2 seed, and you're hosting Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, Zack Wolchuk, alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. Cowboys got up 7-0 in this one, thanks to a Jalen Tolbert 3-yard touchdown. The Commanders rallied to go up 10-7. They took care of business after a blocked field goal that allowed Brian Robinson to score. They kicked a 36-yard field goal of themselves, and then Tony Pollard with a 1-yard touchdown. Cowboys then winning the middle 8. Final 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half. Donovan Wilson with an interception. CeeDee Lamb catches in 4 yards out from Dak. 21-10 at the break. They come right out of the half. They go 12 plays, 75 yards, 6:32 off the clock. They go up 28-10. And then after a block punt for the Cowboys, Bones Fossil's crew getting it done on the other side as they are tied for the lead league with the most amount of blocks this year in the National Football League. Dak, beautiful touch pass in the corner. Seems to be a weekly occurrence. Finding Brandon Cooks, 35-10. And then Brandon Aubrey, after everybody was holding on to their butts, thinking, oh my goodness, is this a Maher deja vu situation of a year ago? No. Butter Aubrey says it's okay. I still got it. 50 yards, 10 for 10 on the year from 50+. Cowboys go home with the victory, 38-10, and they can wear the NFC Championship hats on the flight home.
Yeah, and a very exciting time for the team. They did exactly what they had to do. A little bit concerned about Mike McCarthy and how would he handle the 2 guards being out of the game. And it was clear that the Cowboys' offensive talent really made that a moot point.
Yeah.
You know, but Mike at times has been a little bit more conservative, but they did a great job. The young guys, playing inside, Hoffman, Bass, Broaddus, those guys, everything was well done inside. The kind of the strength of what we thought about with the Commanders was their defensive line, especially the defensive tackle spot. But no Jonathan Allen. That was a big loss for them. But tip of the cap to Mike McCarthy, the staff. They stayed super aggressive of attacking the Commanders. They didn't really waver in any way. Got a little tight there. But you mentioned winning the middle 8. We always like to talk about that. It played to perfection. They got the ball back. They scored before the half, and then they got another touchdown. So 14 points right there on your middle 8. That really was what put this game away for the Cowboys.
It sure was. You mentioned, the offensive lineman, you find out about 90 minutes before the kickoff, Zach Martin had been dealing with an illness, and he's not going to end up playing. We were thinking, okay, he's going to fight through this. So Brock Hoffman, who's been predominantly your backup center, he played that game against Arizona you referred to, comes in, plays right guard because TJ Bass had been getting the work at left guard all week long, knowing Tyler Smith probably wasn't going to be a go. I thought both guys held up very well. There was definitely room and knockback created by the offensive line in the running game. Tony Pollard averaging 4 yards a carry. Rico Dowdle averaging 5 yards a carry. Tony Pollard eclipsing the 1,000-yard mark on the season in what has certainly been a frustrating season for him. But you're right. You are going up against some backup defensive linemen for Washington. They still had Daron Payne out there.
Right.
But either way, it's got to make you feel better going into the postseason where you're going to need to have just a little bit of the threat of the running game.
Well, what makes me feel better is my quarterback was 31 of 36, for 279 yards and the 4 touchdowns. Unfortunately, the interception was a tip ball. You can't put that one on his ledger. This team is only going to go as far as the quarterback and the wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb. They've run the ball well against the Commanders the last 2 times that they've played. So it was nice to see that, but to me, this team is only going as far as the quarterback throwing the football. That is their best way. If they could supplement, so like we saw today, throwing the football on early downs, getting some completions, kind of winning that early down stuff, and then finding a way to mix in a run every once in a while, I think that's going to be the best recipe. But let's make no mistake about it. It's going to be about Prescott, the offensive line, Lamb, and Ferguson. That's really, and you see Cooks and what he's been able to do, but it's really about, it's going to be keep targeting CeeDee Lamb. I don't think there's many defenses that can take him out of this game. The way that they've got him moving around now, it's very, very difficult for teams to double him.
A perfect 13 of 13 today.
Yeah.
When Dak Prescott was targeting CeeDee Lamb, 98 yards and a couple of touchdowns for CeeDee as the historic season for him continues. I mean, it's just absolutely remarkable. Now, when Dak was 12 of 12 with the 2 touchdowns targeting CeeDee, according to ESPN Stats and Info, that was the most targets in a game for any player with 100% catch rate. He finishes 13 for 13. So he continues to just put up an absolute outstanding season. But then you mentioned Dak Prescott. Dak, another 4-touchdown game. This is a team that, for the most part, has been ranked in the top 2 of offensive efficiency since the bye week, and they're doing it without much of a running game. They haven't had one. The offense has been on Dak's back for the most part, and I get it. People will say, well, who have you played? This, that, and the other. Bottom line is they're 12-5. They've put themselves in a phenomenal position. NFC East champions now, and they've got the potential of 2 home playoff games where they've won 16 in a row at AT&T Stadium. Everything's in front of you. The excuses are out the window.
Yeah, there's but your quarterback, I just feel like you can put it on his back. He is playing at an MVP level, and that's to me, that's where I just kind of look at this and say, okay, he's ready to take this on. He's ready. I mean, his 8th season, he's playing, like I say, at a very, very high level, an MVP-like level. He's got a wide receiver that's one of the best in the league. You start talking about the best wide receivers in the league, probably one of the top 2 or 3 wide receivers in this league. And so, yeah, I just kind of feel like, though, that he's ready for this. He's ready for, we're going to talk about, he's going to need help for this, that, and the other. The help he's going to need is from Ferguson, and the help he's going to need is from Lamb, and the help he's going to need is from his play caller. Because this guy, I feel like, is ready for this playoff and putting this team on his back, the offense on his back. I think it's a good proposition for them.
Dak's 11th career game with 4+ passing touchdowns. That's a franchise record. He now has 4 games this year with at least 4 passing touchdowns, which is the most in the NFL, and he's going to finish with the league lead in touchdown passes as well. He certainly has been absolutely fantastic this year, and he needs to go ahead and carry that, into your point, into the postseason. Yeah. It is good to see Brandon Cooks also establishing himself now week in and week out as a key piece of the offense as well, and Tyron Smith, it appears, came out of the game healthy. Hopefully next week you got Tyler, you got Zack Martin, you're at full strength along the offensive line. And we'll see what happens with Green Bay. We'll have all week to study that matchup. But certainly from where we were 2 weeks ago doing postgame Christmas Eve after the Miami game to now be sitting here knowing we're going back to AT&T Stadium next week to host Green Bay. It's why you play the games.
Oh, no, you absolutely play the games. And, the thing that maybe I looked at is, or just kind of after that thought, I'm thinking, how could Philly just completely fall apart? How are they going to fall apart against, with the loss against Arizona last week for Philly? I understand that just because of who all was playing for Arizona. Jonathan Gannon, how important that game. Yeah. He made that personal. Gannon made that personal. Matter of fact, Arizona just missed a 51-yard field goal that would have won the game against Seattle.
Wow.
But that unfortunately Arizona didn't get the win there, but they made that one personal. But Philadelphia, man, they have completely fallen apart. And so that's something that, that Dallas went and did what they had to do winning these games. Beating a tough Detroit team, going out and with a lot of things. The way the Commanders started that game off, it was going for it on every 4th down. It was not kicking field goals, all that. Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard game to have to play, but they handled it. And the last couple of weeks, though, they deserved it. They've deserved the division title. And Philadelphia, they're going to look back at this whole thing and they're going to say, what could have been. But they have been a very, very poor football team the last 6-7 weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. And today was brutal for them. They go to New York. They lose to the Giants 27-10. It appeared that Jalen Hurts hurt his middle finger of his throwing hand, and A.J. Brown also left their game. Now, the big news for the Cowboys, we talked about in the open, Stefan Gilmore. A lot of people asking for updates on Gilmore.
Yeah.
What we were able to gather was he was in a sling on the sideline. don't know the severity of the injury yet.
Yeah, I've put in a text to some people that know what's going on. So maybe they'll say MRI in the morning and all that, but maybe we'll have an idea if it's a sprain, a separation, subluxation, I guess is really the same kind of a thing there. It just looked like to me he was diving for the tackle. He extended, maybe it's a strain. I don't know. We're kind of guessing right now, but hopefully by the time that our postgame show ends, we'll have an idea of what the injury actually is.
And to your point, right, this has not been an easy game for the Cowboys to win going to FedEx Field.
No.
They had lost 5 of their last 6 season finales at FedEx Field. Their last win came back on 2014. So much like we talked about, after the loss against Arizona, that's been kind of a house of horrors for the Cowboys to go and play it. Hadn't been easy coming out of Landover, Maryland with a victory. I know that is not a very good football team, but those guys are getting paid as well. You got to go take care of business. And the Cowboys, fortunately, after what, to your point, it looked like, oh no, is this happening again? They put the pedal to the metal, got themselves a 28-point victory on the road.
Well, this was going to be tough. You just knew that they were not going to, the Commanders were not going to play this game like a traditional game. And what you did was you kept so much pressure on them, the turnovers, the sacks, the drives, the long drives that you had. You really went out and destroyed their will to compete, and that's why you're getting to wear the championship hat today.
Post-game show made by Pepsi, made for Cowboys watching, of course, as the Cowboys get a 38-10 victory over the Commanders here in the regular season finale, and they look ahead now to take on the Green Bay Packers next week at AT&T Stadium. Still waiting on the time to be official. Maybe we'll find that out over the course of the post-game show as we're with you for the next 3 hours going until 9:30. 877-881-1053 is the number to call, the number to text. First, we want to hear from you. 877-881-1053. Let's go out to our guy Tim in Carthage, who I know has been a Cowboys believer from the beginning. Tim, what's going on, my man?
Hey, man, just tickled to death. I mean, I haven't been this proud of DFW since October when the Rangers did their thing, and I'm thrilled to death that the Cowboys have taken care of business. And what else I'm proud of is the fact that Bryan's going to be an NFC East winner, and he knows what that means.
Yeah.
And also, I'm tickled to death to know that you and Eric get to do a home playoff game next week.
How about that?
Zack, let me tell you something. Any lady calls in and wants to say that you're too critical of the Cowboys, you tell them to come down to Carthage, Texas, and talk to Tim. I love you guys, and I'm just tickled to death at what happened today.
Yeah, thank you. Say, Tim, thank you so much for your generous gift too.
You're the man.
You're always super kind to us, and thank you again for thinking about me on that one.
Yeah, we love you, Pappy. We really, really appreciate it. I know a lot of Cowboy fans excited. Some, of course, knowing, maybe the real football certainly starts now. We've been here before. Credit Mike McCarthy. 3 straight seasons. This team has won 12 games, and that he has become the first coach in the history of the franchise that is Tom Landry, that is Jimmy Johnson, 2 Hall of Famers. Heck, you can throw in 3 Hall of Famers if you include Bill Parcells, who was here and you worked with during your time with the Cowboys. Pretty incredible. And now he's going to host in the wild card round the team in which he won a Super Bowl with at that same stadium, at AT&T Stadium. Maybe full circle here for Mike McCarthy as the Packers come into town next weekend.
Yeah, and, I'll tell you what, a lot of things changed for the Dallas Cowboys offensively, I think, after that game last year in Green Bay. That loss took – there are a lot of guys that were on that staff in Green Bay that are here in Dallas, and that was an important game to them. We talk about Jonathan Gannon and, the game he had last week, Arizona versus Philadelphia. That was an important game to Mike McCarthy, and I think that right there was probably the end of Mike McCarthy saying, you know what, Kellen Moore, you're not my offensive coordinator anymore. I'm going to make a call at the end of this, and we're going to make a change. So hopefully things are better the second time around. I'm just grateful there's no Aaron Rodgers here but I'll tell you what, Jordan Love is playing really, really well for them right now. So looking forward to sitting down and watching tape. If I had to make a prediction, Zach, I'm going to say we're probably going to be working a night game. on Sunday night.
Sunday night.
That would be my prediction.
Yeah,
my prediction.
A lot of people are texting like, "Oh, don't the 2 seeds automatically play on Saturday?" I don't know if that's locked in. I think a lot of it is based on. I think it's
on networks. I think this is NBC gets a Saturday game, and I think they're going to get one more after that.
And they're all going to be fighting about the Cowboys.
Yeah,
and not to mention now it's Packers-Cowboys, two legendary franchises.
Right.
That's going to be an extremely fun matchup to break down. I'm sure Mike McCarthy will be asked about that during his post-game presser as well. We'll have Coach for you. We'll have Dak Prescott, more post-player audio as well. Tony Pollard, I mentioned 6th running back in team history to post back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, joining Zeke, DeMarco Murray, Emmett, Tony Dorsett, and Calvin Hill. So congratulations to Tony Pollard, whom I think, rightly so. There's been a lot of frustration, even from his part.
A lot of frustration.
He's been vocal about it.
Yeah,
but what he's done, I mean, the Dak Prescott isn't necessarily having the type of season he's had without the pass protection from Tony Pollard. And there might be some that roll their eyes at that, but I mean that's factual. He has been so improved in that area of his game.
Well, I'll tell you what, you could watch the All-22 and Tony Pollard, he might not be getting the yards per carry that he's had in the past, but I'll tell you what, his blitz pickup stuff and awareness in the pocket has been elite this year.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's get back to the phones. Our guy, Big Jim in Round Rock. What's going on, my friend?
Well, Wolchuk, Broaddus, I couldn't be happier. It was a good game, fellas. I don't know that I've done that, but you got to take your hat off to the play caller tonight.
Sure.
I was worried sick that he was going to pack it in a little bit. Got to give credit to those guards. Love the running this team did. That was, he was serious. He told us this week that it was all in. We got to win this thing, and he did. The defense played really tough. Happy to see Micah get number 14. I know that was weighing on him. Great game. Just love seeing the Cowboys hit on all cylinders. Kind of glad to see Aubrey bounce back there at the end.
Yeah.
That was a little shaky there, but, I think it was good. And all in all, this here is the kind of football you want to be playing right heading into the playoffs. They were the rushing. I was just happy about the rushing.
Yeah. And
those boys were opening up some lanes, and there was some cutbacks there, and saw a few executed screens. I'm just very, very, very pleased. Man, I can't tell you. Part of me, I'm so thrilled, fellas, that you guys are going to get to do a post game from AT&T next week.
Yeah, trying to make it 17 in a row.
I feel good about this. Well, hey, listen, sorry I missed you fellas on Friday. We'll talk soon. Go Cowboys. Love you bunches.
Thank you very much, Big Jim. We always appreciate the feedback post-game, win or loss here on the home of the Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, 38-10, getting the win over the Commanders. And Stefan Gilmore, some news filtering out of the locker room. He did tell Coach McCarthy that he will be fine and ready to go. Coach saying, we'll see how Gilmore feels tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to have to get more information on that. But, Stefan Gilmore, first time he's been back in the postseason since 2019 with the New England Patriots. This is exactly why he wanted to come to the Dallas Cowboys.
Him and Brandon Cooks, too. You look at Brandon Cooks, and poor Brandon Cooks is a guy that's been kind of traded for, players for picks. And, he never seems to kind of, be the guy that's, gets to stay at one spot. But everywhere he's been super, super productive. So congratulations to the front office, too, for making the trades.
Yes.
Two
huge trades.
Two huge trades that worked out for you.
Yeah, and today, Brandon Cooks playing a big role, 6 for 39, another touchdown catch for him. And it seems like, and I've mentioned this a lot during the postgame, anytime Brandon Cooks is making a catch, it seems like it's going for a first down.
Yeah.
It's for a touchdown. He's a big impact player, and with the amount of attention that CeeDee Lamb is going to generate from opposing defenses, it just makes the play of a Jake Ferguson, of a Brandon Cooks, even that much more important moving into the postseason now, as the Cowboys will be taking on the Green Bay Packers next weekend, Wild Card weekend, at AT&T Stadium. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. I do think you made a great point when it comes to the play calling, because I was driving in and listening to you and Eric, and that was my first initial fear. You find out, okay, you've got two backup guards in Bass and Hoffman, and I remember us having this conversation after that Arizona game. the 3 backup offensive linemen are not why you lost that game.
No.
They played well enough to give you a chance in that one, and even Coach McCarthy said afterwards it impacted my play calling.
It did.
But you could tell on that first drive when the Cowboys went down 8 plays, 67 yards in 3.5 minutes, Dak finds Jalen Tolbert. He wasn't going to let that impact his play calling today.
No, he was not. And great job by the young guys, and they looked solid. I can't wait to always say this. I always love to watch the tape the next Monday morning and just see how these guys played. I'm sure it wasn't pretty at times, but overall, though, it didn't look like to me that Dak Prescott was hurried in any way. We've talked about the running game, that they're able to run some through the middle there. I think you couldn't have asked for a better ending for them, for those young guys. And hey, how much I know. I know that these guys get work during the week, but how much work? I mean, Bass got a lot of work.
And that's probably why they wanted to keep him on the left side.
Exactly. In Bass, but, Hoffman on the other side, how much work does he really, really get?
Especially at guard.
He gets one practice, though. He gets the practice, that Wednesday practice that Zach Martin doesn't participate in. So, yeah, and, hey, great job of those guys being ready to play.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to Derek in Brooklyn. Derek, what's going on? You're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I just want to give Mike McCarthy a ton of credit for what he's done in Dallas. He's brought stability and consistency to this team. When Jason Garrett was here, we never got 12-win seasons back-to-back. We'd win 12 games and then win 8 the next season.
Sure.
This guy's won 12 games 3 years in a row. I know he's not the best coach. He gets dissed a lot for a lot of bad decisions, but to win 12 games in a row, 3 years in a row, is a big deal in Dallas.
Yeah,
it certainly is. I mean, there was a time this time last year, we're searching for some type of conversation in a positive manner when the Cowboys did not win this game in Washington. And it's, well, okay, you're in the postseason for back-to-back years for the first time since the 90s when you were winning Super Bowls. Mike McCarthy's now making this a regular occurrence like he did in Green Bay. You are a postseason team every year, and now the question is, okay, what do you do when you get into the tournament, right? That's the most important thing. I think Cowboy fans now are starved for, can this team finally get over that hump, make it to a conference championship game? And you've had this lay out perfectly for you to where you are going to have 2 home playoff games where you have not lost in 16 games, and this team has been an absolute a different team at home than they have been on the road. The statistics show it. I know, hey, maybe they haven't played as good teams at home versus on the road. If you want to use that argument, that's fine. In a weather-controlled environment on the fast turf at AT&T Stadium with the home crowd who's been absolutely phenomenal supporting them, the Cowboys at home are a different beast. And now they're going to get a chance to get to the conference championship game with not having to play on the road.
Yeah, that's everything about it that you said is absolutely right. And there's things with Mike McCarthy. We talk about game management stuff, maybe some attention to detail. But the one thing that he's been able to do is, and he said that they were going to work on helping the quarterback not turn the ball over. And the first part of the season, Mike McCarthy, that offense wasn't good enough.
No,
it wasn't good enough, and it really took. It really took what happened at San Francisco, and Kevin Burkhardt said, that CeeDee Lamb went in there and respectfully said, hey, there's probably a lot of folks that went to Mike McCarthy and said, hey, we have to do this different, or we have to think about this in a different way. A lot of coaches won't change. They won't listen. They'll do it. I'm going to do it my way, and that's it. And so I got to give him a lot of credit that he was able to listen to his staff, listen to his players, and make some adjustments in order to get this offense going the direction it needed to go, because it wasn't a playoff division-winning offense to start the year.
No.
It just wasn't.
It was Zeke in reference to Jerry's comments of, Zeke stirs the drink with the Cowboys. It's definitely CeeDee Lamb now that is doing that. And credit to CeeDee and Dak, and you're absolutely right. Not having that stubborn approach as a coach where, no, this is my offense, and we're going to find a way to make this work, and I'm not changing anything. No, they went ahead and did some soul-searching, and they did an excellent job correcting that at the bye week. It's something that we have talked about ever since with how different this offense looks, with the movement, with the motion, with the different personnel groupings,
route combination.
the bunches,
Yeah.
the route combinations, which
Yeah.
is one of our biggest complaints under Kellen Moore. The offense has been fantastic, and they're focusing on getting CeeDee Lamb the football.
Yes.
And how many times following postseason losses were we looking up and it's like, well, CeeDee Lamb had 5 targets?
Yeah.
CeeDee Lamb had 6 targets?
Well, yeah, I think you lost the Dolphins game because you forgot where he was on the field.
Right. And hopefully
Yeah,
that's a learning hump where you don't make that same mistake in January.
I clearly believe that last week when they went into the game, Mike McCarthy said, I am not going to allow CeeDee Lamb to go without targets at any point in time in this game.
All right, let's go to a line 5. We got Corey in Dallas. Corey, what's going on? You're on with Zack Wolchuk and the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus.
Yes, sir. Happy Sunday to y'all boys.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
I just got a couple points. First thing first is, I know it was the Washington Commanders, but I got to give credit to that man, Dak Prescott, man. I mean, 2 backup guards. I mean, it was one play, he looked like Brady. I mean, in the pocket, dancing around, in the red zone where we got trouble. And, I mean, he just delivered a strike to CeeDee where he didn't even have to move to catch the ball. I mean, for Dallas fans to even hate on Dak Prescott as he led the league in touchdown passes and he stood on business like he said at the beginning of the season. He said, I will not throw 10 interceptions this season.
Absolutely.
And he didn't.
He did
and
not.
The interception in this game was a tip pass anyway that Gallup could have fought for, but that's another story. But just to say, man, that quarterback we got is ridiculous. My second point is that I love our edges. Armstrong, Lawrence, Sam Williams, Fowler. They need to play edge first and second down more than Micah. They're hungrier. They're honestly bigger. They're more built for the position. We drafted Micah to be a linebacker. You see how them edges played today? Every time I look up, I see Fowler or Armstrong in the game, they get a sack. I mean, me as a fan, if I can see that, I know Dan Quinn got to see it. So, I mean, hopefully them dudes can play more and we can actually move Micah back to backer. And then my third thing is that 3 12-5 seasons in a row, I mean, like they said, call it before me, like with Jason Garrett, we'll win 12 games and go 8-8. I mean, the consistency that Mike McCarthy brought to this team, the offense, firing the last OC, the last DC, and really put his hands and blueprint on this team. I mean, we are blessed to have that man as a coach.
Appreciate the call there, Corey. The consistency is key, and coach has certainly done that. But to play the quarterback, and it's funny. It's like you don't have to go ahead and say, well, I know it was the command. You can give the quarterback credit.
Yeah.
It's allowed.
Yeah.
You can give somebody credit, and then, okay, if Dak doesn't perform well in one of these playoff games, we can have a fair and balanced conversation about that and how the quarterback needed to play better. Doesn't need to be like, oh, I know, but no. Dak was damn good.
He was.
And Dak's been damn good the majority of this entire season, which is why he should be in the MVP conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, he went out and he did exactly what he had to do today. The play caller is helping him a lot.
He is.
It really, really is. And Dak is understanding where he needs to go with the ball. And he's got an elite wide receiver and a tight end that's a dangerous reception guy, run after catch. You know, the running game is what it is. You know, the offensive line, when they're on, and given Dak time, this offense is difficult to stop.
Yes.
And hopefully you'll see him throughout the playoffs at home continue to do the things what they do offensively, like today. Today was a great day because it's such an unknown playing a team like the Commanders. This was not your normal game.
No.
This was just not your normal game. And they went out there and did exactly what they had to do.
877-881-1053. The number to call, the number to text. That opens up a couple of lines very quickly on Stefan Gilmore. He said his shoulder popped out of place.
Yeah.
He popped it back in.
There's that subluxation thing. Yep.
Didn't return, but he plans to play against the Packers in the first round of the playoffs. We'll hear more from Coach Mike McCarthy. We also will have Jerry Jones, your owner and general manager as well, commenting on the Cowboys' 12-5 NFC championship season as they get ready to fly back home to the Star in Frisco and welcome in the Green Bay Packers for the wild card round next week at AT&T Stadium. More of your calls and texts, plus Coach. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Go behind the scenes at the home of the Dallas Cowboys with
Sports, brought to you by AT&T, the official partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's original craft vodka. WinStar World Casino and Resort, proud to be the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. Please game responsibly. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Buffalo Wild Wings. And by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. It's Miller time.
Prescott under center, play fake, boot to the right, throws it to the right side of the end zone. Tolbert, a nice step inside the defender, and Jalen Tolbert caught it for the Cowboys touchdown.
One of 4 touchdown passes for Dak Prescott today, who finishes with the league lead in touchdowns and also sets a Cowboy record for most games with 4+ passing touchdowns. That was his 11th career game. He's got 4 this year with at least 4 passing touchdowns. That's also most in the NFL. Then how about CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee with 13 catches. When he hit 11 receptions, he was in a tie with Andre Johnson and Wes Welker for the second most such games in NFL history to have double-digit receptions. With 13, he now moves just behind Michael Thomas, who had the most with 9 games with double-digit receptions in 2019, in what was a fantastic year for Michael Thomas, but a historical season and a historical run that Dak and CeeDee Lamb are on right now.
When you and I start working on the draft and we start to say, take the best available player on the board, that's why you take the best available player. When you need a defensive end or you're thinking about a linebacker, who's your highest graded player on that board?
Yes, sir.
Especially in the first round, you can't go wrong doing that.
Nope.
You really can't.
Because you're right. At the time when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee and it was 17th overall and
Zack
none of us
Martin.
dreamed that he would be there, it was, okay, you've got Amari at the time. You got Michael Gallup, who was playing really good football. Do you need a receiver?
Yeah.
I think there was a Chase on, the edge from LSU.
He was the guy,
They were interested. Jerry talked about that on the flagship.
Diggs. They were Diggs.
They were considering, should we take, and what a back-to-back home run picks right there with CeeDee and Trayvon Diggs. You go back and look at Cowboys history. Have they had to back-to-back better than that? And they've had some extremely
had some great
tremendous drafts, but that's amazing. And speaking of Dak and CeeDee, they caught up with Fox's Aaron Andrews postgame.
Well, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, all smiles, clinched the division and the number 2 seed. Where's the hat?
I want something bigger than that.
All right, we got it. All right, and I know that. And before we talk about the postseason, can we just talk about this? I mean, you said yourself this week, the last 4 games we didn't finish out. We need to do it here. Just looking back, and you guys getting the division and now the 2 seed, and more importantly, the home games in the playoffs. What has this year meant to y'all?
This is huge. It's been a great year. Obviously, as you said, battled the last 4 games, finished the right way, and then just getting to go back, have the playoffs be in AT&T. This is huge. Great to win the division. Proud of these guys. Proud of this guy. Awesome year, but we're damn sure not done.
I know you're not done, and we'll talk about it in a second. I mean, what a couple of weeks for you. My gosh, breaking records last week. Obviously, what you guys did here today. CeeDee, can you just talk to me about the connection that the 2 of you guys had and what this was like for you in this regular season?
This started a long time ago, honestly, and it's us being consistent and staying true to ourselves and, just trusting our work that we put in the offseason. I feel like that's also showing itself a lot. And, man, it's only the beginning for us, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, you said this week, this is big because we want to go home and we want to play a wild card game and we'll see what else at home. Can you even tell me what it's going to be like at AT&T next week?
Definitely going to be electric. If it's anything like our last home game, it should be a good one. Very excited. Looking forward to Cowboys Nation, seeing y'all again. Let's do it.
What do you think? Are we even going to be able to hear you say, here we go?
It will be exciting. It'll be loud. Fans got to control our emotions same way as we will, and it'll be a hell of an atmosphere.
I know your head coach wants you guys to go in right now so you can hear who you're playing. Good luck, you guys.
Thank you.
And that will be the Green Bay Packers. That will be the Cowboys matchup. Still waiting on the official time and day in which that will happen. We will certainly pass that along as soon as we find out. Zack Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus. We'll also hear from Coach McCarthy, Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones as well. But right now, let's go to the phones. We've got the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, the great Brad Sham. Brad, NFC East champs, they get the number 2 seed. They take care of business. What stood out to you about this one at FedEx Field this afternoon?
They did their business, Zack, they did what they were supposed to do after they quit playing what I like to call Army games, mess around mess.
That's a really good story, by the way. I wish everybody could hear your story with the with the actual language that goes along with it.
Yeah, I wish I could tell
Sham?
it on the air. But,
Sham?
But it's basic. Sham? But it's
Sham?
basically, Zack, it basically has to do with, well, you're just kind of fiddling around.
Yeah.
You're not doing what you need to be doing. And so, you have these visions when you get a blocked field goal and an interception and you're down 10-7 or whatever it is, and you think, no. But I think that it shows that they are the kind of team who then is going to do what they're supposed to do by doing exactly that for the rest of the game. So I think they're in a pretty good spot to go forward.
Brad, you in your pregame interview with Mike McCarthy you interviewed so well with the questions, but then we talked to you in the pregame and we asked, were you worried about two guards and would the game plan be altered? I think the answers we got is no, the game plan wasn't altered at all. They went out there, Mike McCarthy called his game on that game sheet and played that thing pretty wide open.
Yeah, it looked like the same thing to me, whether I don't know if you put an asterisk by it because Jonathan Allen's not playing and it's week 18 but it is what it is. You can't change any of that. And I really thought, for the most part, based on, as you well know, Bryan, it's almost impossible with the naked eye when you're watching the ball. But right. I thought they both did fine. I thought they both acquitted themselves well, and that's an encouraging thing.
Speaking about Coach McCarthy, he's now gone 12-5 3 straight years. You know as well as anyone, Brad, this was an organization that struggled to make the postseason in back-to-back years until he came here and changed that a year ago. What do you think of the job that Coach McCarthy's been doing?
I mean, he's obviously done a very nice job. Let's hold on about they struggled to make the postseason. They were in the postseason 20 straight years. They were in recent history. They were 1 year on and 1 year off. And I understand that Jason Garrett's not everybody's favorite. I resist the idea that he was kind of a stumbling, drooling incompetent.
Yeah.
Because I believe they won 2 or 3 at least division championships and a playoff game or two under his tenure. He had 10 years. He had plenty of time to do what he needed to do, and he wasn't able to do it. So it was time for a change. But it's not like they never got in the playoffs. They're not the Lions, okay?
Right.
So I have to go back and look. I read the thing today, and I've read it before, Zack, that says he's the first coach of this franchise to win 12 games 3 years in a row. It's hard for me to believe without going back and looking that Tom Landry didn't win 12 games 3 years in a row. Now, for a lot of the time, 14 was all they played.
Right.
And then they played 16. So it's possible, you won 10 or 11. And when you're playing 12, when you're playing 14, if you win 10 or 11, that's pretty good. So it's possible. But what I think is it's incontrovertible that they had not done that, what you just said. They had not made the playoffs 3 years in a row since, I guess, 96 was the last of 3. They had not done some of the things, double-digit wins. And, I mean, that's all not insignificant stuff. And the sad reality of the world we live in is that is fine for now. And we all know that if we are not doing a post-game show in 3 weeks, then people are going to be unhappy and say it's time for a change. We know that. We don't know if it's correct or not. We don't know if it's justified or not. Depends on what happens in these next 3 weeks. But they're now going to be judged. He's going to be judged. And the quarterback is going to be judged. Ultimately, not on what they've done for the last 18 weeks, but what they do for the next 2 or 3. And then beyond that, that's what the standard is for this franchise. I don't think that's a bad thing. It can be unfair. But I do hope that whenever the final chapter is written, that Mike McCarthy does get credit for, I remember one of the things he said when they hired him in 2020 was he didn't just want to have occasional success. He wanted to build a program that was in contention every year. And once they got past that COVID year where they really had no idea how to deal with it, he's done exactly that. And so now, it's not just him. It's Will McClay, it's Stephen and Jerry, it's the whole organization. And they have now put the thing in a position where they are contenders every year. I think that's the kind of organization you want to have. In college, they'd call it a program. And now the trick is to improve on it in the postseason, because that's why you're playing professional football.
Brad, I'm ready to go to Mitchell Gleber and get him to give me that the Budweiser, the wagon that they hooked the Clydesdales up to
at the State Fair.
At the State Fair, and I'm going to hook I'm going to hook Dak up.
Bandwagon.
I'm going to hook Dak up, and I'm going to hook CeeDee up, and I'm going to hook Ferguson up and Micah up, and that's who I'm going to ride through these playoffs. That's my way of getting. That's my way of. I'm not going to be worried about a running game and all these other things. I'm going to just try and wear people out throwing the football the best I can, and then play defense the best I can with Micah Parsons.
But am I limited to 4 horses? Because I think number 90 is one I want.
Yeah, you could clip him onto the team as well if you want. I'm absolutely, but that's how I'm going to try and navigate this playoff. I'm not going to worry about running the football and all that other stuff.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I believe that I agree with you. I wouldn't go so far as to say that I'm not worried about running the football.
Yeah.
I think it's good if you can run the football. I think it makes your passing game better.
Sure.
But in spite of the fact that back in March, the head coach said he was not interested in scoring points. He was interested in running the ball and playing to his defense.
Yeah.
In spite of that, they've scored points and they have not run the ball real well.
Right.
And, I thought it was encouraging the way both Pollard and Dowdle ran today. They're going to have to run some, and you know that. They're going to have to be able to run some as you get into this next stage, so that people just can't take away what your passing game can do. However, I think the point you're making, and it's one that I would agree with, is that when it's humming, when the plays are being correctly called and the protection is good, then this passing game is capable of pretty much carrying the load. The running game.
Yep.
They can make it move. I don't disagree with that.
Brad, thank you so much. Fly home safe, and we'll catch up with you next week, AT&T Stadium.
All right, fellas. Very good. Thank you. Have a great week.
You as well. There he goes, the great Brad Sham, the voice of your Dallas Cowboys, joining us here. The official postgame show brought to you by WinStar. As the casino of the Dallas Cowboys, WinStar knows what it means to be a star. With over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games, the all-new 2-story WinStar Spa in Cascades, our luxury pool complex, WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. Let's pause 10 seconds for station ID across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
It's Cowboys hosting the Packers next weekend, as the Packers are your 7th seed at 9-8, a rebuilding season for them. With Jordan Love, they end up back in the postseason under head coach Matt LaFleur. I'm sure Mike McCarthy reacting to that. We'll hear from him momentarily as well, plus Jerry Jones and more. The Dallas Cowboys football will continue here in just a moment.
Just like you like it.
Dallas is going to go for fourth down. Rather than have Aubrey with the wind at his back kick a field goal, they are going to go for fourth down and 2, because of course they will. Prescott in the gun, fourth down, they blitz everyone, over the middle, caught by Ferguson on a tight end slant for a first down, 8 yards down to the 15.
Dak to Fergie as Jake Ferguson continues, and my gosh, is he not fun to watch after the catch as he continues a stellar season at tight end. Dak, once again, another 4-touchdown game as he looks poised to finish top 3 in passing yards, completion percentage. He's, of course, your leader in touchdowns, and potentially have the highest quarterback rating and passer rating in the National Football League. That is your quarterback one, Dak Prescott, who we will hear from in just a moment. Zack Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, 38-10. Cowboys get the win on the road against the Commanders. They go 12-5 to end the regular season. They're NFC East champs, and they're the number 2 seed in the NFC for the playoffs. They'll be hosting the Green Bay Packers, who claim the 7th and final spot with their win today over the Bears. And then the Rams, who rallied to beat the 49ers, end up moving up to the 6th seed, which meant Green Bay got the 7th seed. And a man who knows a thing or two about the Green Bay Packers, your Cowboys head coach, Mike McCarthy.
Prior to the 4-star telegram, I don't know if you knew during the game because the Eagles kind of threw up the white flag, but are you proud of how you finished it and did it yourself?
Definitely. I mean, that's the way we wanted it. And I think you just, we understand all the narratives around the game, but, frankly, it's still a division game. And that's really was our approach. And, we knew that they were going to throw some things at us. And, you look at the way the game started and, a lot of deceptives and things like that. So, yeah, I mean, when you play division games, it's always a dogfight. So that was our mindset coming in here.
Mike Parsons with ESPN. How quickly did you find out it was Green Bay?
Tad just told me as walked in here. So.
What are your initial thoughts on having?
Oh shoot. I mean, I've had a good year. I haven't watched them a whole lot, but yeah, the drama of it, I'm sure you guys will love. I will not participate this year, but no, hey, it's playoff time. It doesn't matter who we play. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Jim Callis, Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about the way Dak finished the season, the offense finished the season compared to last year going into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously last year was not very good for us here. Just reflecting back, but it's two different teams, two different situations. But yeah, we feel good. We wanted to get the run game established, and I think clearly, I was really proud of our young guys. Both Brock and TJ, and particularly Brock, just because we didn't know. I mean, Zack, I didn't know about his illness until he arrived here at the stadium. So. That was clearly a last-minute move, the way that went down. I mean, it was probably about 20 minutes before the 90-minute meeting that it was determined that Zack was not going to be able to play. So, and it didn't. We stayed right on course with the call sheet. We didn't change. We didn't, shy away from anything. Those guys gave us the chance. And it just like anything offensively, you want to stay in a healthy run-pass mix, and because that's when we're at our best. And and our offensive line gave us that opportunity. Obviously, our skill guys played well. Dak played well. I thought Tony and Rico ran the ball the way he looked for. And even on the flip side of it too, Brandon had to, we had to block, and then also the miss, and then it was important to give him one more kick here at the end because it's regular season's over, but we feel good about the amount of work and everything we put into it, and we're ready to go for the playoffs. It's football. You talk so much about the beginning of the game and the end of the game. We spend a lot of time on particularly Fridays getting ahead of it as far as making sure we're there. But really, the second and third quarter is really what you're all about, and that was a part of the message all week and last night because you do these comparables of productivity, and it's important for us to play to our standards of productivity, and you establish it over an 18-week season, and we know who we are. We talk about complementary football, but we play to it, and that's going to be what's going to help us, win these playoff games. So to your point, to me, it's football. It's those are first quarter and really second quarter. So I don't think anybody blinked. I mean, it was a tee stunt, and they locked us down on the penetrator, and the looper got free and got his hand on the ball. So those guys make plays too.
Stefan Gilmore,
I just saw Gilly before I walked in there, and it's a new experience for him, just as far as what he's dealing with, and he told me he was going to be fine, be ready to go. So we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Edward, Mike, given the success that you guys have had playing 16 straight home wins, only team in the NFL to go undefeated at home this year, how much does knowing going into the playoffs and you won't play on the road unless you play a championship game at San Francisco enhance your chances to achieve your objective?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on it, but I don't think about it. We set the goal, way back in April. You magnify it, in training camp. I think everybody does it similarly, but we understand that the body of work, things that we needed to accomplish during the regular season, we did a good job. I mean, the team should be proud of a 2 seed in the division championship, and because I'm proud of them. But most importantly, it's playoff time, and we need to play our best football. It doesn't matter who we play, where we play them, and that has to be our mindset. And I clearly understand our record, 4-5. I don't sweat it. I've won a Super Bowl going on the road, so it's really about how you're playing. It's the team that plays the best this time of year, and our goal is to work and get hot and go get this wild card game, and then we'll go from there.
Coach Mike McCarthy afterwards, I'm not going to participate this week in the drama of the Packers. I think that was a funny comment. And credit to him, he did acknowledge, look, called the game the way he wanted to call the game. Was not changed or affected at all by the last-minute decision of, okay, we don't have Zach Martin. Now we got Brock Hoffman, who has started at center, hasn't started at guard for us. And you could tell. I mean, that's something we noted earlier. And I appreciate how open and honest and candid, really, Coach McCarthy has been with that type of stuff throughout the entire season. Yeah, that was something that I was worried about, and it happened, the night before a game. Zach Martin gets what was the flu and just can't go and was weak, and they tried to get him ready to go and he couldn't. And so, give Hoffman a lot of credit. These rest day practices actually get these backups work, and so. It's not like you're throwing Hoffman out there cold. He at least has an idea of the game plan and what he needs to do. And, it helps when, him and Steele, and then you got guys like Pollard that can help in blitz pickup, and, Broaddus, those are all very, very positive things. But for those two young guys to go in there and continue to play at a very high level and protect Dak, I never felt like that there was any issues with their blocking or pressure on Dak Prescott coming up the middle of that defense. Just never felt like that was going to be the case. No, not at all. And, again, focusing on CeeDee, certainly everything's going through him. Cowboys found a way to get it done. There was a couple of doubts there, of course, when you had the blocked field goal. I mean, my goodness, the swell of, especially when Brendan Aubrey missed that second one, doinks off the upright. Everybody, Cowboys Twitter was ablaze. I mean, in this very room, there were certainly shades of, oh no, is this Brett Maher 2.0, where you've had a phenomenal season. Hell, Butter Aubrey's had a better one. He's going to the Pro Bowl, but bangs home the 50-yarder. And hopefully that silences the doubt there when it comes to Brandon Aubrey. He's going to be just fine. Don't doubt the Plano kid. Okay, I just got a text from one of the staff members, and Gilmore said it was, it popped out. Shoulder popped out. So that's a subluxation is what that is. Mm-hmm. Popped out, popped back in. They were able to take care of that. That is accurate of that. And then MRI tomorrow to talk about if there's anything else that they need to do. But it definitely popped in, popped out. They got it taken care of. They got it stabilized. But MRI in the morning. So subluxation for Gilmore. Perfect. You're going to need him. Jordan Love's playing some really good football. They don't have a lot of household name receivers. Yeah. But Jordan Love and the Green Bay Packers, who are going to be coming into town next week, Love's completed over 70% of his passes for an average of 266 yards. He's got 21 touchdowns, only 3 picks in the last 7 games of the season. That's after, they finished, the last 10 games. They finished 7-3. They lost 5 of their first 7. So Love has turned it on to help the Packers down the stretch here get into the postseason. They got their win today over the Bears to clinch the final spot in the NFC wild card round. Now let's go back to the phones, 877-881-1053. We'll hear from Dak Prescott and your owner, Jerry Jones, here momentarily. A lot of you have been waiting patiently. Jay and Coppell. Jay, how you doing? You're on with Zach Wolchuk and the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus.
Yeah, gentlemen, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. So 2 quick points. One, man, awesome for the Cowboys, but especially Cowboys Nation. Every year after year after year, especially as of late, it seems like all the added hate that the Cowboy fans seem to be fielding, right? It's no win is ever good enough. There's always an asterisk where every loss, shows how the Cowboys are. But, the Cowboys, coaching staff, or maybe even Dak especially, right? They just kept plowing forward, way to, separate the noise, and just definitely got to applaud them for that, right? So, but the second point, the added cherry on top is, man, what an egg the Eagles laid, right? So they were supposed to be the cream of the crop of the NFC East. They were the frauds, right? So Jalen Hurts, I think, first half of the year MVP candidate, not so much, man. So they're in a complete tailspin. So, I just want Cowboys Nation, it's about the journey. Obviously, the road's not finished. Still some unfinished business to do, to accomplish. But, you got to enjoy tonight. And especially with those Eagles eating crow, it just makes tonight even that much more special.
No doubt.
So I appreciate you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jay. Yeah, it is always fun to be able to enjoy some Eagle misery while your team is on the other side of this, taking care of what the Cowboys needed to do. And they did. They did just that. It wasn't you're backing your way into the postseason where the Eagles lost and the Commanders upset you at the end of the season, so you still won the division. No, they won 38-10. Cowboys went on the road and beat a team in a place that they have struggled to win in recent years. And certainly the Eagles are in a tailspin. And I guess we don't have to worry about filthy unless you have to play them eventually in the postseason, which would happen maybe the second round. We'll see what ends up happening with them going to Tampa Bay next week as they're the 5 seed in the NFC. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Let's go to Leo in Dallas. Leo, how you doing, my man? I believe we caught up with you last week.
Yeah, so last week I was talking about how far you guys would think that the Cowboys would make it.
Sure.
So is Dak Prescott currently playing at an NFL MVP level?
Yes.
Yeah, he is. Absolutely is. Yeah.
Yes. How well do you think Dak Prescott will perform against the Green Bay Packers defense heading into next week's wild card game?
Packers, I haven't watched the lick of Packers tape. Plan to do that like Tuesday after I kind of get the Cowboy game put to bed tomorrow. But, yeah, I think they've had some problems. I know some people up there quite well. They've had some problems on defense, and we'll see if, if the tape will tell me that. I mean, if you're not going to put pressure on Dak Prescott and you do not play well enough on the back end in coverage, they will expose you. And it is very, very clear that you have to be very, very good. They've had some issues with Jair Alexander, right? Mm-hmm. Some things, some crazy things. He got suspended for a game and all that, but we'll see. We'll see how the Packers play. It's really going to be all about their pass rush and their secondary in this football game.
Well, and if you remember in last year's matchup at Lambeau, Jair Alexander was there. CeeDee torches him for 10 for 150 and a couple of touchdowns. So I think the Cowboys offensively match up very well with Green Bay's defense. They've been on a heater. They've won 7 of their last 10 to close out the season. But if you look at some of the games that they did lose, certainly, Tampa Bay was able to put up quite a lot of points against them just a few weeks back with Baker Mayfield having a perfect passer rate. They put up 34 points. They
did not get any pressure that game. They did not get it, and they didn't cover very well.
Yeah.
And the one thing that the Buccaneers are really good at is Buccaneers have very good skill receivers.
They do, and a team that doesn't would be Carolina.
Yeah.
And we were sitting here the week after that stressing we both had Green Bay in our survivor picks on the flagship 105 through the Fan of the G-Bag Nation. You can catch that 2 to 7 Monday through Friday with us, but 30 points they allowed to Bryce Young in that Carolina Panthers offense that, just got shut out in back-to-back weeks. So I think you feel good about Dak and the Cowboys offense. The other conversation would be Aaron Jones just had another big game. They run the football very well. They used that crack toss that certainly gave the Cowboys a lot of fits last week. Your defense is going to need to step up and continue to play good football as well. But, hey, Dak playing the way he's playing right now, you certainly do feel good about that. Call is brought to you by the National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org and AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll get back to your calls, more of your calls and texts, I promise you. Be patient with us. We're rocking for another 2 hours until 9:30. We'll also hear from your quarterback, Dak Prescott, and Jerry Jones. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Penalty, attorneys and counselors. Goody Goody, your store for discovering fine wine, craft beer, and premium spirits. Find a store at goodygoody.com. Pepsi Zero Sugar, made for Cowboys watching. Texaco, fill up on what fuels you. Texaco with Techron, driving performance. And by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
First down and goal at the 1. Adoga and Schoonmaker are lined up on the left side.
Yeah, they should throw it to Adoga. Right.
I formation, Pollard behind Lipke, Prescott under center. Man in motion, handoff, Pollard coming right. Bang, zoom. Touchdown, Cowboys.
Yeah, give us a little bang zoom there, Brad Sham with the call. Tony Pollard galloping in from a yard out as Pollard 17 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Had a 12-yard run, which is flashes of the TP from a year ago when he was a top 3 to 5 back in all of the National Football League, making people miss, made 2 defenders miss, running tough. Honestly, I mean, Tony Pollard's been running the football hard. We talked about that after the Buffalo game. People just didn't care because the Cowboys got their butts whipped, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a moot point. But certainly this is a rushing attack that has struggled. Has Tony Pollard been as good as he was a year ago? Absolutely not. He's the first person to tell you. But, I mean, it's certainly not a lack of effort, and he's been running the football a little bit better as the season's gone along.
I think the biggest problem, and they figured out how to run the ball a little bit against the Commanders.
Yeah, the offensive line was opening up some room, which is certainly a big help. When you have room to run, gosh, that makes a difference.
Yeah, and I think that Pollard, I think there's been some issues with the blocking up front. I think that they've tried to scheme some things. They've tried to pull some guys. Penetrators have given him some problems. Scrape linebackers have given him some problems. They haven't gotten the second level like they needed to get to. So yeah, they've had their share of issues when they've handed him the ball.
They have, and you mentioned linebackers. Both you and I were sitting here watching the game. Credit Damone Clark. Damone Clark had himself.
I tell you what, Damone Clark,
game.
yeah, and it was funny because I was texting with Aisha Morrison, who we do work with on the draft show, and very talented, reporter there at DallasCowboys.com, and we were talking about that. Now, like that's the one thing with Clark, when he doesn't see it, that's when they have the problems.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, he did a great job with his vision and playing with some instincts today. Really, really well.
Yeah, he read. I mean, his ability to read and diagnose, you could tell what was impressive today. I mean, he was able to sniff out that screen, gets out there, sheds a block, makes a tackle. Almost, the ball carrier thing was Curtis Samuel potentially. Might have slipped out of the tackle for a second, but he held up enough where you get that rally. The pursuit from the rest, that gang tackling from the Cowboys defense that Rod Marinelli used to preach so much. Cowboys post-game, 38-10. They get the victory over the Commanders. They're champions of the National Football Conference in the Eastern Division. They're also the number 2 seed in the NFC. So they're hosting the Green Bay Packers next week at AT&T Stadium. Still waiting on the official time. We think maybe Sunday night would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I am totally speculating. I'm just trying to kind of look at seeing when all the matchups would possibly be, because you're talking about games on Peacock and who would be the absolute best matchup with everybody involved. So I kind of had a feeling that the Cleveland-Houston game would be like a Peacock game because of a streaming game. But maybe you're in a situation where I'll tell you what, I put the Buffalo. I gave Buffalo the win in this game here.
Okay, so
I gave Buffalo the win. Yeah, I gave Buffalo
hosting Pittsburgh.
Yeah, on Monday Night Football.
If they win tonight, okay.
Yeah,
that would make some sense, and they would set up Tyreek Hill on the road in Kansas City with the Dolphins, the return of the Cheetah.
And that's I got that as a 3:30 game on Sunday. On my prediction thing.
Okay, so you're going ahead and predicting these.
I'm just predicting them, and the reason why the NFL loves the threat of a snow playoff game. So Buffalo on a Monday night.
Especially Buffalo and Pittsburgh. I mean, the
Steelers
are still one of those foundational organizations in the National Football League.
Yeah, I got actually Philadelphia and Tampa leading this thing off on a Saturday.
Wow.
I got Philadelphia and Tampa at that it'd be the 4:30, that game on NBC. I think that maybe that could be a leadoff game. Then you get the Peacock game of Cleveland and Houston.
Okay.
And then the 1 o'clock game would be the Detroit game. Detroit
hosting the Rams. And that is Matthew Stafford's return.
Yeah.
Ford Field, their first ever home playoff game at Ford Field.
Right.
Where Matthew Stafford quarterback for so many years. Now you get Stafford going back to – there's a lot of fun storylines with these wild card matchups. And, of course, you have the Packers and the Cowboys, the history of that.
Right.
And Mike McCarthy coaching against his former team. I'm just hoping this Packers curse left with the boogeyman that is Aaron Rodgers. And hopefully Jordan Love gets smacked around a little bit and the Cowboys are able to win in advance next weekend. But there is a little bit of, oh, my gosh, when you have to see the green and the cheeseheads of the Packers come to town.
There will be a lot of Green Bay fans here.
Yeah.
It is always, they always travel. They'll travel for the playoffs. You will hear the Green Bay fans in this football game on Sunday, I believe.
Cowboy fans did an excellent job of traveling today. They took over FedEx Field
they completely did.
At Landover, Maryland, which I get, right? If you're a Commanders fan, there's not been a lot to cheer for. It's the end of most likely Ron Rivera's coaching responsibilities there in Washington. They'll probably be taking a new quarterback there, so they've got the number 2 overall pick now. But 38-10 Cowboys get the win, brought to you by AT&T, the official 5G innovation partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and blockchain. Trust the team at blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with blockchain.com. We'll get back to the phones here shortly, 877-881-1053. But Dak Prescott, your victorious quarterback, your 36 passing touchdowns to lead the National Football League quarterback, caught up with the media.
Clarence Hill, four-star tailgate. What did it mean to finish like you did and take your advantage of stuff later? You just kind of throw the white flag midway through the game on the restart and score it down before the start, but you guys did it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned it weeks ago about running our own race and just focusing on that, controlling what we could control, and we're able to do that. I mean, obviously, the latter part of the year had that stretch there where we didn't handle it the way we would have liked to handle it, losing a couple of road games back-to-back, but getting back home, winning that one, we knew it was important to come back on the road, finish the division, being a road game, understanding what we've been through on the road with importance, with the offense firing, playing complementary football, and in a big game to win the division, secure the 2 seed, and make sure that, as you said, we finish things in our hand, in our way, to our expectations and to our standards. And proud of the guys, proud of the locker room, coaching staff, everybody, organization of doing just that.
Dak, Todd Archer, the ESPN. As you get ready for this, you've been in the playoffs now a couple of times. How much are you ready to take this next step and go further than you guys have gone?
Yeah, very ready. Obviously, coming off of the past years, understanding the team we have, knowing we're coming into the season, that we had a team that could compete, wanting to put ourselves in this position, wanting to stay in the moment each and every week and not look forward to this. But now it's upon us, and I think most importantly, we've got to take it one game at a time with the same attitude that we came into this game with, same attitude that we've taken in every home approach. And it's Green Bay lined up right now. And just everything focuses on that. We'll enjoy this plane ride home, and guarantee you tomorrow everybody turns the page, puts this regular season behind them, and understands that tomorrow's not promised in that sense, that we've got to make sure we give everything we can in each and every moment of our preparation, our practice, our walkthroughs, our film study, taking care of our bodies to make sure that we're going out there and we're putting, as I've mentioned before, best versions of ourselves come out there on whenever the day is we play.
Does this feel different than the other times you've gone with how you feel about the team going into the playoffs?
Yeah, for sure. Especially, obviously, you look at last year, the way we came into this place and didn't finish the season the way we wanted to where we are now, the growth, the coaching staff, the players, the accountability, the communication, the transparency, and both sides of the ball holding their own, really. Not one side picking and holding and doing more, I guess you could say, than the other side. Really understanding that we have three great units. I mean, special teams went out there and made a huge play tonight. So 3 great units going into this thing. We're fit all the way around at this moment, at this time. Doesn't matter who we play, where we play them. We're excited for our opportunities. And as I said, it's about one at a time. And thankful we get to do it at AT&T next weekend.
Talk about a lot of criticism you take. The head coach also takes it. How important has he been this year just to get you guys to this point?
Yeah, it's been huge. He's been huge. Obviously, stepping in, taking over the play calling, and really much more than that. I mean, just you can ask him his weekly schedule and the way that he's approached has been much different than it has in the past past years, and just I talk about communication, accountability. It's been amazing. I can't thank him enough. He's been an amazing head coach as he's continuing to be, but to be a play caller and have this relationship with me and him even grow more, understanding that, we're probably two of the people that get criticized the most. And so being able to lean on each other has been important. And, excited for the future and excited for this game. Excited for him for this game as much as everybody else. And knowing what this game means for the Dallas Cowboys, it's got something a little special for him as well. And it's important for us to get it for our own being. But the way that we do it will be a punctuation for him.
Dak Prescott following a 38-10 victory over the Commanders, in which they have won their second NFC East championship in 3 years, their fifth in 10 years, and they completed their third straight 12-win season under head coach Mike McCarthy. According to Next Gen, it was interesting, Dak recorded his third highest success rate in a game in his career. He generated plus 19.5 expected points added on his dropback.
Mm-hmm.
He ends the season with the second most EPA, which is expected points added in the National Football League, and a league high 5% completion percentage over expected. I rounded up, it was 4.7%, but 4 of his 6 passes, which he targeted vertical routes, went for 26 yards and 3 touchdowns, so 3 out of his 4 were vertical routes. His 23 touchdown passes vertically this season are the most in a single season since Andrew Luck had 24 back in 2018. So you talk about the difference the bye made. This was a team who did not want to push the ball vertically down the field. Dak Prescott ends up with the most passing touchdowns since 2018 when it comes to vertical passes in the National Football League. Pretty incredible, the transformation from Dak, the offense, CeeDee Lamb, and they've got this thing in a very special way playing at AT&T Stadium, where that offense has just been an absolute juggernaut heading into the postseason.
What do you think the odds are or were of CeeDee Lamb catching all 13 of his targets based on the completion probability of each pass? What do you think it was?
Oh,
what
goodness.
percentage?
I wouldn't say very high. 19%?
1.5%.
1.5? I knew I should have gone even lower.
Yeah. For the percentage of him catching all 13 of those passes.
It's amazing.
Was 1.5 in that game.
It's incredible. 13 for 13, perfect.
Yeah.
Was Dak Prescott when targeting CeeDee Lamb. And, it's sensational. What CeeDee's done this year is historic, certainly for Cowboys wide receiver standards, but historic in terms of National Football League standards. And what Dak's doing as well, absolutely phenomenal. And hopefully they're able – it's all going to be judged, as we know, based on how they perform in the postseason.
Here we go.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, here we go.
Well, can you beat good teams? Can you win in the playoffs?
You've given yourself a chance by creating home games, and you're unbeatable at home. You just are. You're 16 straight games you've won at home, and so you've given yourself that opportunity now. So, hey, congratulations on that, and you probably continue to play well. He's done a great job. He really has.
He has. Back to the phones, 877-881-1053. I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently here on the official postgame show. The Dallas Cowboys, Zack, Wolchuk, alongside the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus, following a 38-10 Cowboys win over the Commanders to get the NFC East crown, clinch the number 2 seed in the NFC. Let's go to Joe out in Waco. Joe, how you doing, sir?
Hey, this is Joe. I'm actually in Dallas driving home.
Awesome.
Brian, I really appreciate your perspective and what you bring as a former scout.
Thank you.
You've gotten a lot better on the radio as well, probably because of all the podcasts you do. But I'm asking, specifically watching Terrence Steele, it seems like tonight he did great, but he gives away the play. He's in his heels on passes. He's on his toes on runs. Do you notice that as a scout?
I haven't looked.
When you're watching.
I haven't looked at that.
I
haven't looked at that at all.
Obvious.
Yeah, I'll check it tomorrow.
Maybe I'm being critical. And then secondly, before y'all talk to Jerry Jones, I'm glad you got to me. I fly for a commercial airline, and I was in St. Martin this morning, and as we were pushing back on our way to Philadelphia, we were parked right next to a private jet with a big blue star on it.
Mm-hmm.
November 1, Delta Charlie.
There you go.
I was curious if you would ask Jerry Jones if he was in St. Martin last night visiting his big yacht.
It wasn't Jerry. I mean, it could have been somebody part of the family. But, yeah, Jerry. So we're going to play audio that from the stadium that the media reporters were able to interview Jerry. We won't technically have Jerry on the show, but we will get him. Of course, Sean and RJ on the flagship 105.3 The Fan, and then KNC Masterpiece will have him on Friday. So Jerry will be on. That we'll be able to chat with him and get a feel there. Interesting on the tells, we did get to have Zack Martin on weekly on the G-Bag Nation from 2 to 7 on The Fan. And, Zack, who wrapped up his weekly visit with us this past weekend, but he was even talking about a tell that the coaches noticed for him. And he's like, yeah, I got to stop doing this. So it's possible. Yeah. Interesting that we'll go back and we can rewatch on the All-22 there when it comes to Terrence Steele.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed because he plays a lot in 2-point stance, too. So, but I will clearly check that out.
All right, let's go to JK and Prosper. JK, how's it going, sir?
What's up, guys? Appreciate y'all taking my call. Look, first of all, I think this is, in the next 3 or 4 years, this is going to be Dallas's best opportunity to make a run, because once you start paying these guys, it's going to be hard. It's not a coincidence that they have their best team here at the end of Dak's contract. It's just the way it works in the NFL. But number two, and I know it's interesting and it makes for good radio, but look, anybody that calls up and says Dak sucks, they're just a hater. But anybody that says Dak's not the MVP or shouldn't be the MVP is not a hater, because the reality is, if you look at how he's played against the best teams in the league, he hasn't carried his team to victory. Now, does that mean it was always his fault? No. But he hasn't played great in the big-time games against the big-time opponents. Last year versus a retiring Brady doesn't really count to me. I'm just saying the quality, high-quality opponents, Dak has not played great. And so I hope he does, man. A diehard Cowboy fan. I'm 50 years old, soon to be 51. Then, I remember my first little puff jacket when I was 6 years old. So, I get it. I'm all in. But come on, guys. Why does it have to be Dak's the MVP or Dak sucks? Let's just be honest. He hadn't won big games, and so why should I, as a fan, have confidence that he's going to do that? I can hope for it. I can say I think he might, but I don't have confidence based on the track record, because he's had 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, I get the pessimism, JK, and I've been there as well. If I want to put my fan hat on, I think those are fair questions. I will say, certainly Buffalo and San Francisco, two good teams that you played. He didn't play well, and the whole team got embarrassed. But against Miami, he did lead you on a drive to win the football game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, defensively, it's all three phases, right? They didn't come up with the big stop when you needed it the most. Right. Philadelphia is reeling now, but I think he played well enough to win both of those games against the Eagles. Last week, Detroit's a playoff team, leads them to a game-winning drive.
Third seed.
Right? Yeah. So I hear what you're saying. You can only play who's on the schedule, but I think now more than ever, Dak's playing his best football. He's had his best year. It's also about who is also in the field competing for MVP. Brock Purdy was the favorite for a long time. Brock Purdy, his team didn't play well against Baltimore and the Ravens. They suffered some bad losses, against Cleveland, against Jacksonville, a team that choked away. Yeah. So, all of these guys, now Lamar Jackson might be your MVP now. And you look at Lamar versus good teams, they won those games. Now, people can go ahead and nitpick and say Lamar's numbers here and there, were they that good? I don't know. Everybody wants to keep moving the goalpost when you get into these type of conversations. Bottom line is, yes, for this year, for right now, Dak is in that conversation, and he deserves to be so.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. We'll get back to more of your calls. We'll also hear from Jerry Jones and more Player Locker Room audio. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Through life's ups.
got there. Sack for the Cowboys defensive end. First sack of the game.
Pretty amazing. Cowboys finished with 4 sacks of Sam Howell. Fowler certainly gets credited with one of those. And we've had this conversation. Zack, Wolchuk, and Bryan Broaddus. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you've made the comparison to David Irving. I'd love to get a ratio of splash plays and snaps.
The number of plays he's played?
For Fowler. Yeah, because it seems like anytime he's out there, there's some type of positive snap that takes place during that series.
I pointed out to you, he's out there a few plays. His long sleeves, his jersey or his sleeves torn, meaning he's being held right off the jump. But, yeah, Fowler is an amazing player for the number of snaps he gets and the number of impact plays he makes while on the field.
Crazy. It really is. I thought that David Irving comparison you made was spot on.
Was there anybody better that being on the – David Irving played against the Green Bay Packers. I think he played 16 plays and was NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
3 fumbles?
Yeah.
It was insane.
Tipped the ball. He was NFC Defensive Player of the Week for 16, 18 snaps one time.
Amazing. Let's go ahead and get some tape from the locker room, brought to you by Blockchain. You don't need a complicated play to bring it into the end zone. That's why you should trust the team at Blockchain.com to make buying, selling, and trading crypto easy. Play smarter, not harder with Blockchain.com. We will get back to the phones here in just a moment. I appreciate your patience. We'll get back to you. But Jerry Jones, your Cowboys owner and general manager, catching up with the media postgame.
There near the end, and I just feel so grateful to the coaches, Mike McCarthy leading the way, to the players for staying true to their work ethic, staying true to their really week in, week out. And here we are. We've got 3 of the best records in all of NFL football, and we've got home field advantage for at least a couple of the ball games as it sits right now. And so when I was with most of you when we met first time in Oxnard, I truly couldn't have drawn it up to be any better than this. We're asking for all the orders. So proud of these guys, and they've earned it. They've done it the hard way.
Was today one of those days that you're proud of the way they took care of business in a game that it could have been easy to not be
Well, of course. I don't mind telling you, that first quarter and the way that thing was going, you could just see that, hello NFL, that's the thing that can happen for you. And, when we had the turnover, didn't make it 14-0, then you just saw all kinds of ghosts and Darth Vader, all that kind of stuff, the Grim Reaper, whatever you want to call them. But the main thing is how proud I am of these guys for enduring. They've evolved. They started off out of camp as one team. They have gotten better at so many of the phases of the game on all sides of the ball. We made some big special team plays out there today that helped us, will help us as we go on into the playoffs. But I just can't tell you, it's a wonderful feeling to win this NFC East.
It is, and he's absolutely right. The importance for this team of the 2 seed there to get the home playoff games. And yeah, we were seeing Darth Vader. We were seeing the Grim Reaper there.
Seeing them all.
It's like, oh no. The amount of panic that set in just after the Aubrey block and the miss. It was humorous, but it was also, oh no, there's reason and justification for those feelings. But he's right. And 2, I believe it was JK who brought up the point, he thinks, okay, within the next 3 years.
Yeah.
This right now is the best opportunity.
Oh yeah.
There's no this is it, right? Because yes, you're going to have to pay Micah, you're going to have to pay CeeDee, the free agent, the free agent conversation. We don't know how the landscape of the team will look necessarily, where they will be financially, cap wise. This has laid out perfectly for you. You have won 16 games in a row at AT&T Stadium. You have been an absolute juggernaut at home. You are going to get 2 playoff games if you win the wild card round in advance and whomever you play before you can finally get back to that elusive conference championship game, which they just haven't been able to get back to since that 1995 Super Bowl season.
Yeah. No, it's
the time's now.
Time is now. You're absolutely right about that. And that's you fight all these battles to get to this point.
You do.
And I think that's what Jerry Jones is appreciative of. That, like I say, after that Dolphins game, we were doing post game and we were, okay, let's let's talk about the NFC South. Who's going to win out of Tampa?
Can
New
they
Orleans?
go on the road? Do you have any faith they can go on the road?
Yeah. Well, you played. Philadelphia had their issues, but you did what you had to do these last 2 weeks.
You did.
You absolutely did what you had to do.
Beat a good Lions team and then went on the road to a place it's been tough for you to win a division game. A team that had nothing to lose. They're going forward on fourth downs. They're playing for their coach.
That is terrifying to play football against a team like that just has no care.
All the trick plays they came out with.
Yeah, the trick plays. Hell, that pass, we ought to steal the one they had that they missed on.
With the McLaurin miss that Gilmore saved?
Yeah,
that was
Gilmore
a good play.
save. That is a damn good trick play right there. I'd steal that one.
That was Eric Bieniemy, shades of his days with Andy Reid in Kansas City.
Sure.
Stealing a little bit of that playbook. Maybe he was the man that came up with a lot of those good plays that worked there with Mahomes and their Super Bowl winning Chiefs. 877-881-1053, of course, the number to call, the number to text. Right now, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
This is the exclusive home of Dallas Cowboys football. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas, Fort Worth. Let's go, Cowboys.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
38-10, Cowboys win in Washington over the Commanders. They're now the 2 seed. They're NFC East champs for the second time in 3 years, and they'll play host to the Green Bay Packers in Super Wildcard Weekend next week. Still awaiting the official time and day in which that matchup will be held. We hopefully will know that information before we get off the air. I'm sure at the conclusion of Sunday Night Football with the Bills and the Dolphins playing for the AFC East total, we'll know for sure.
I think by the time that you get to the third quarter, you'll have an idea of what they're going to do television-wise. They'll give you that. And if the Dolphins win, it'll be,
they'll give you that graphic.
They'll give you that graphic. I am making a prediction. This is only a prediction. I'm making a prediction that Dallas and Green Bay play this time next Sunday night.
I could see it. I think Sunday night, if it's not Sunday night, it'd be Sunday afternoon, maybe on Fox. I think Sunday night sounds right.
I don't know, man. Miami's looking okay here. I had Buffalo winning this game. So if Buffalo were to win this game, I think that Buffalo and Pittsburgh would play in that. I keep saying this, that the NFL loves the threat of a snow game. They just love, I mean, it's that they do 30 for 30s on it, the tuck game. And I mean, everybody's fascinated by the snow game.
Snowplow game.
Yeah. I mean, that's NFL playoff history.
Yep.
Is the snow game.
You're right.
And so I could see them wanting to try and get Buffalo and the fact that Buffalo is playing a late night game this week might be they're trying to give them an extra little bit of rest. And this fact it's a road game for them too.
Well, and if Miami wins, it'll be a rematch of these two teams next week in Miami.
Then I could see this being that 3:30 game, and it would be then Pittsburgh and Kansas City.
Maybe that's your Peacock game.
That Mahomes.
They probably want Mahomes on national TV.
Mahomes. That might be a. That might be. I don't think that would be your Peacock.
I think they put the Jacksonville game last year. Now, that was the second round, granted, but that ended up being a Saturday afternoon game at Arrowhead. But it'd be interesting what they do with this year's Chiefs team.
I think Philly and Tampa will probably be the leadoff game in this thing. It would be my guess.
Especially with how Philly's playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, let's go out to Eric on line 6. Eric in Odessa, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, sir. I just had a couple of things to say. I love the offense. I love the defense today. But I got to hand out a couple game balls today. And the main one goes to Dak Prescott. People want to come down on a quarterback. But like last year, between this year and last year, it's just no comparison. And he comes out, he plays, he's balling. And, I got one other. Hey, Jordan Lewis. He's been making plays, yes, sir. He's been making big plays, and that's all I really got to say. We're going to the playoffs, and I'm not really worried about it. We got the Packers, and we'll cut them off. I'm not worried about Jordan Love.
No game ball for Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy, maybe. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, yes, sir. I'll give a game ball to Mike McCarthy.
Right.
Mike McCarthy, yes, sir.
Yeah, I think he's helped your quarterback a lot.
No doubt.
I think him,
play calling.
I think him, Brian Schottenheimer, I think they've done a really nice job.
No doubt. And it's amazing. I mean, you talked about this last year.
Yeah.
How many of those defensive players loved Brian Schottenheimer?
They do.
The NFLPA, the voting of, the top offensive coordinators in the league, and Schotty coming in at number 3 I mean, he definitely does have a lot to do behind the scenes with this, certainly as well as Mike McCarthy. But CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, a lot of love and credit deserved there. And shout out to Jordan Lewis. Absolutely. Jordan Lewis has been playing some phenomenal football the last 3 weeks. I think last week he was in consideration for player of the game with the way he played against the Lions.
He got nicked up a little bit. I was glad to see him finish that one off, though. Yeah.
And then he forces that fumble here today. But, he got that nickname back in 2018, Ball God, Jordan Lewis.
Yeah.
And he's playing like the Ball God again. They're going to need those turnovers.
He's playing hard because he knows his Michigan Wolverines are playing for national championship
tomorrow against Washington. Yeah. Yes. Will he be?
I wonder if they'll skate down there.
Houston, maybe. You never know. You never know. It isn't Houston. It's not too far.
Got an off day.
Let's go to AJ in Nebraska. AJ, how you doing?
All right, how you doing? I'm not going to get excited over the Cowboys beating the Washington Redskins. That's another sorry team.
Okay.
The Cowboys is fool's gold.
Okay.
I don't expect them to do much in Dak. I don't expect much out of Dak when they play a good team. Now, Matthew Stafford is the senior quarterback in the NFC. Now I don't know who you consider the best quarterbacks in the NFC, but I don't think the Cowboys would have when they play against Green Bay, and if they double cover CeeDee Lamb, Dak does not he doesn't have any good chemistry other than his tight end Ferguson. He doesn't have any good chemistry with the other receivers. I know Cooper caught a couple touchdowns, but he doesn't really throw to him.
How do they have you watched how they I'm just curious. You mentioned double covering CeeDee. It seems to be the last couple of weeks when you really wanted to double cover CeeDee, they've targeted him 17 times and 13 times.
They don't care.
They are going to move him around. They have no time for your double team and talk.
Well, when a good defense do that, it's going to be a difference. A good defense.
Well, who's the good defense you're going to play?
What do you
San Francisco's good defense. We all know that San Francisco's good defense.
Yeah. Do they have great corners?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, San Francisco pressure would cause Dak to get rid of the ball quick.
The pressure in their linebackers, sure.
I think the difference between San Francisco and the problem with San Francisco's defense is their linebackers. It ain't the corners.
Yeah, it's Fred Warner.
It's
Greenlaw.
Greenlaw and Warner. Yeah,
they're
and Bosa. That's the problem with San Francisco's defense.
Absolutely. I appreciate the call. And look, I mean, he did mention Matthew Stafford. It's interesting, though, because when you start looking at the quarterbacks in the NFC, Stafford had this same shtick when it came to, he can't beat good teams. Yeah. He's not, and then he goes on a run and wins 4 playoff games in a Super Bowl. So now people are looking at Matthew Stafford differently. All it takes is that one run. Now you're not having that conversation anymore about Dak. And gosh, would it not be fun if that run starts this coming weekend against the Green Bay Packers and we can put that to rest? Because once you do it, now we don't have to have that conversation. But until you do, we will always get they're fool's gold. I don't believe in them. And it's hard to argue. But Dak's got the opportunity to go and prove the doubters wrong starting next week, AT&T Stadium against the Green Bay Packers. All right, stay on hold. More of your calls. That opens up a line. We're with you until 9:30 tonight, so we'll try and get to everybody. We got more sound. Tony Pollard, Stefan Gilmore talking about the injury, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Every moment.
Prescott's in the gun, back to throw, looking right, scrambles left, still got it, scrambles back right, throws it in the end zone, caught for a touchdown in the back of the end zone by CeeDee Lamb.
That is your drive of the game, brought to you by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. 12 plays, 75 yards, taking 6:32 off of the clock to start the third quarter as CeeDee catching his second touchdown. That one a 6-yarder from Dak Prescott. 2 of Dak's 4 touchdown passes. That made it 28-10. Really felt like, okay, now this one, it's put to rest. The Cowboys had officially probably scored more points than what Washington would be able to keep up with. But the important thing here is, Bryan, and you've talked about this a ton, and your friend Michael Lombardi, best man in your wedding, the middle eight. And when the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy decides to defer to the second half,
yes,
the hope is, okay, we're going to get that double dip. You get the football the final 4 minutes going into the half with a chance to score. Then you get the ball coming out of the half in the first 4 minutes with a chance to score. You win that 8 minutes. Usually you win the football game. Cowboys scored 14 points today.
Yeah, that was good. That was a very good middle eight for the Dallas Cowboys. You know, we've seen some, and their record is, I don't think they've lost a game this year when they've won the middle eight.
And they haven't won one when they've lost.
And they haven't won one when they've lost the middle eight.
Crazy, right?
So yeah, that right there, that 14 point, man, what a play. You see that pass?
Touchdown for the Bills?
Yeah.
I looked away. This thing looks like it's like a toe-grabbing baseline of the end zone snag. I thought it was going to go out of bounds.
The ball was deflected. Man, this is terrible TV or radio. Ball was deflected at the line of scrimmage.
Wow.
And all of a sudden it goes caroming in the air. And this is the second time that Buffalo has been down in the tight red zone. And the first time Allen throws an interception and you're thinking, oh my gosh, he's done it again. But the ball just caroms into the air. Okay. That was incredible.
Unbelievable. If this stands, it'll be the first touchdown of the game, or they'd be tying Miami, who just scored.
Yeah.
So it'd be 7-all, as this is for the AFC East division title in Miami right now.
There you go. Wow. That ball was knocked in the air. What a great job of concentration.
Tremendous.
Right, yeah, look at this right here, Zach. Ball. Oh, geez.
It was Van Ginkel. Van Ginkel gets his hand up,
smashes
pops this one in the air.
Yeah.
And then it lands perfectly in the baseline of the end zone, getting 2 feet in there.
Yeah.
The Buffalo receiver, who I can't quite see who it is, but fantastic play there for Buffalo to even it up at 7 against Miami. Speaking of CeeDee Lamb, who was the recipient there of our drive of the game, CeeDee, who is on a historic pace as we enter postseason play, catching up with the media postgame.
2-seed home playoffs. How does it feel?
Amazing. Obviously, the job isn't finished, but definitely going to enjoy this moment. Happy to be back in the playoffs, of course, and happy to be home.
How huge is 2 home playoff games in order for you to finish the job?
I just feel like it gives us an edge, playing in front of our home crowd and just being able to, show out in front of our home team. So definitely an amazing feeling. Can't wait to get back to Dallas.
What was the vibe in here of taking care of business?
Everybody was locked in. We knew we couldn't really necessarily mess this up. And by that, we can't be hurting ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot on certain plays, just going out there, drive, make routine plays, routine drives, and just be consistent.
Anybody say anything to that effect when you were down 10-7? Was there any sort of message, or do you guys just stay locked in?
Just staying locked in.
CeeDee, you say you guys are always confident, every single week, but to play that well going into the playoffs, that's got to be a good thing, right? For you guys to be playing some of your best football at this time of year.
Absolutely. It's always, you always want to put your best film out there. And we knew that. We had to partake in that. All week it was definitely like paying attention and focusing on the details, being where you need to be, and doing your job. And I feel like we did that tonight.
CeeDee, what was this last month like after losing to Buffalo the way you guys did, and where you guys kind of fell in the standings to where you guys are right now? What is this last month?
We knew what we had to do, obviously, and that's went out and let everything else, play out. And I'm happy that we definitely got the job done and able to, control our own destiny, if you will, and finish at number 2 seed.
What gives you hope that this year would be different? Just 3 straight years in the playoffs. What's the confidence level that this year is the breakthrough?
We're always confident in our team, and our ability, and we know what we put out there. Everybody in the NFL knows what kind of team we are, and we just got to go out there and show it.
CeeDee Lamb post-game after another tremendous performance from him there with 13 catches, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Of course, those 13 catches were on 13 targets. So he was perfect today and continues to set Cowboy single-season receiving records and puts himself in NFL history for one of the most prolific receiving seasons in the history of the sport.
Yeah, what we'd say, 1.5% chance of him catching all 13 of those balls.
1.5.
1.5. It's
unbelievable.
This is what you've figured out though with when it comes to the Cowboys. This is what you're going to be. This is running the football at times I think is going to be difficult. But the one thing I think you can do is with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb and with Jake Ferguson is throw the football. And sprinkle in some cooks and stuff like that. That's what it's going to have to be. This, when you look at 3rd and 5, what do they throw the ball? They ran the ball well. They ran the ball well last time they played the Commanders. The Commanders were they're a compromised defense, but
they've got bad linebackers. As we talked about San Francisco, they are really weak at linebacker.
They are very bad at linebacker, and that's a problem for them. And
it certainly is.
So, good job of Dallas taking advantage of that, but you're going to make your hay when it comes to you're going to have to be able to throw that football and throw it well, and Dallas can do that.
CeeDee Lamb, courtesy of Next Gen Stats, now leads the NFL in receptions over expected this season.
Yeah.
The 4th most at plus 18.6% of his catches over expected. It's the 4th most by any receiver in a season since 2018. The only players ahead of him, Michael Thomas, who's done it twice in 18 and 2019, and then DeAndre Hopkins in that 2018 season. And those were historical runs for both of those guys. Stefan Diggs is behind CeeDee Lamb now in his 2020 season with plus 18.5% of his catches were above expectations. So pretty phenomenal what CeeDee is doing. 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. Zack Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus here on the official postgame show of your NFC East champion, Dallas Cowboys. Let's go back out to the phones. We got our guy Taylor in Royce City. Taylor, how you doing?
Well, I'm good. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
You too.
I just wanted to say, this team we're playing, that we're about to play, they're like our kryptonite. It's the Demons, just like the Rangers. And the Rangers finally beat their Demons. They finally won after 63 years, and that's what we need to do. That's what Cowboys need to do. They need to get past that. They haven't been to the NFC Championship in what? Since they won the Super Bowl?
Yep, 1995.
28 years?
Yeah.
So I was 8. So, yeah, it's crazy. They and I just wanted to ask, too, who would you rather play if we can get past this team that just always beats us in the playoffs? Who would you rather play? Because
play anybody.
Unless San Francisco wins their round, wins the second round, we're going to have to play them in the NFC Championship.
Yeah, I mean, at this point,
just play anybody. You talk about the kryptonite. I think the Green Bay kryptonite. I think Mike McCarthy was part of that.
And Rodgers.
Yeah, I think that's your problem.
Yeah, it's a different Packer team.
It's a much different Packer team than the ones that we've seen throughout history. This quarterback will be making his first start in the playoffs.
Yeah, Jordan. It's a different beast that you're going up against with Jordan Love compared to Aaron Rodgers. I think most of those haunts and nightmares were Rodgers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it will be nice. Hey, go ahead and finally beat Green Bay in a playoff game since those Super Bowl years of the 90s. It'll
used to
be
beat us a lot. It used to beat Green Bay a lot in the early 90s.
It'll be a good feeling.
It'll
feel like some good payback for 2014 and 2016. But, yeah, without it being Aaron Rodgers, I don't think a lot of Cowboy fans, including myself, will have quite that same fear.
Playing him that's your boogeyman. It
doesn't matter how well you play.
Nah.
It always seemed to come down to that final drive, and that jerk has the football.
And he has it, and he'll find a way to complete a ball on 3rd and 19 to get him in field goal.
Unbelievable. I still can't believe Jeff Heath didn't knock the ball out of his
That's what I'm saying. It was one of the hardest hits I've ever seen a blitzer hit a quarterback and the ball not come loose.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And Dez did catch it. Yeah. All right, let's go to our guy, Rodeo Ron in Dallas. What's going on, buddy?
I got 3 letters and 2 words for you. NFC East champions, baby.
Yes, sir.
Now let's bring on Green Bay so we can G-bag them just like we did the Commanders. 4 more wins, and we're singing "We Are the Champions" because the boys are back in town. And if you're not drinking Jim Beam with Rodeo Ron, a fiance, and another person cheering on these Cowboys on 105.3 The Fans, where the F you at, baby?
Thank you, Ron. Of course, Rodeo Ron, certainly a regular in the G-Bag Nation, which you can catch 2 to 7 on the flagship 105.3 The Fan. Of course, Bryan and I, 2/5 of that show, along with Eric Chiafalo, Gavin Dawson, and the great
We're all
Lucius
back
Alexander.
together tomorrow, too.
Tomorrow, first time in like 3 weeks.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yep.
The new year, let's kick it off right, playoff style. All right, let's go to Hakeem in Frisco. Hakeem, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, good evening, guys. Good to talk to you. We're going to celebrate this win with some quality Four Roses. We're going to start talking about bourbon, single barrel, if you will. Hey, a couple things. Broaddus, I admire you tremendously. You're a great knowledge to the to the airwaves. Couple thoughts. I thought Dak played great. I don't think anyone can call and hate on Dak. He's had a great season. So shout out to him as well as Tony Pollard. I think we saw the 2022 Pollard today. We hope we see that in the playoffs. My question to you guys is, particularly you, Broaddus, are we starting to see a transition from Gallup to Tolbert? And if so, what do you think that Tolbert can bring as far as being in that third wide receiver role? And what do you see as Turpin's role as we go into the playoffs? So I want to get your thoughts on Turpin as well as Tolbert, if you think he's already taken over Gallup for the third wide receiver position.
Yeah, thanks for the question. I feel like, though, that Michael Gallup is having a hard time getting open. Michael Gallup is having a hard time separating off the line, and I hate to say this. I think that there's going to be times where teams are not worried about putting a really good guy on him to cover. He doesn't make you pay in any way. Tolbert has found a way to get open, and he's a young guy that last year, he was completely lost, but he did a great job. He got himself ready to play, and you can see that I wish the quarterback had a chance to hit him at the end of that game on that deep end that would have sealed the game, but he threw the ball out to the sidelines and it was incomplete, the one to Cooks. But I think you're going to start to see them try and get the ball a little bit more to Tolbert if other things kind of allow it to happen. As far as Turpin goes, you saw exactly what Turpin needs to do. Put him in the backfield, hand him the ball, jet sweeps, things other than screens. Anything to just kind of get him in space and get him the ball quick, I think needs to be part of the plan. But putting him in the backfield and handing the ball like they did today, nothing wrong with that at all. As quickly as he can get to the corner and around the corner, that's a positive gain for you right there, running the ball.
All right, let's go to Jackson in Frisco. Jackson, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic.
Great.
It's just an honor to be on the call with you guys. You guys' ball knowledge is just superb. One of the guys that called earlier was talking about, obviously, the Packers matchup. And Packers defensive coordinator, Joe Barry, has been criticized all season for lack of defensive calls. How do the Cowboys kind of turn that into a shootout offensively? You guys talked about, getting playmakers going, but how else do they do that?
Yeah, I haven't even looked at Green Bay. And to be honest with you, man, we're doing these games and they're playing the same time a lot of time.
Yeah.
I know they've had some struggles. I've got friends up there that are kind of like they were going through some bad times. They were kind of worried about, did they have the right quarterback and all that? Yeah, Joe Barry has had his share of problems, but they've seemed to kind of got things going the right way because of the quarterbacks playing. I'm really looking forward to this week, breaking this all down and, watching all their games, breaking down pressures, breaking down problems that they have. How do they run the ball? How do they defend the run? What's their secondary look like? That is something that playoff football is really, really all about. And I think in the coming days, I'll be better be able to tell you about exactly how you need to break these guys down.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear that. I will say, I remember, Rasul Douglas was one of their better corners. He was their two starting corners. And when they were struggling the first half of the season, they traded him to Buffalo.
And now he's playing well for Buffalo.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is a team that their turnaround to go 7-3 in the final 10 games is a reflection on the way Jordan Love has played. And offensively, kind of some of the things they've been able to do. Defensively, I don't think we should, and this can change. We go ahead and assess the film. Just based on what I've seen from Green Bay this year, they're a team that you can move the football on.
Yeah.
They're a team you can score on. They don't have an elite pass rusher. They still have Preston Smith, who was really good. You'll probably remember from several years ago when the Cowboys and Packers played. Rashawn Gary is another one of those guys.
Yeah.
They drafted Quay Walker from Georgia, who's a linebacker that's pretty good. But I think outside of Jair Alexander, their corners are very susceptible.
Right.
They've got Owens at safety, whom is married to Simone Biles, of course, who got a bad personal foul penalty today against Justin Fields. Darnell Savage is a safety that they drafted. But I think the secondary is one that the Cowboys are going to look at the tape and say, they don't have anybody that can match up with CeeDee Lamb, and we should be able to attack them vertically.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, like I say, that's the whole idea, is to sit down and study their tape, and we have access to do that. So I'm looking forward to it. I really
Absolutely.
am.
877-881-1053. 3 more of your calls and texts coming up as we enter the final hour of the postgame show. Plus, we'll hear from Stefan Gilmore, Tony Pollard, Micah Parsons, and more. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf.
Tress way. Block! Punt is blocked and rolling around to the 5-yard line. Peyton Hendershot blocked the punt, and the Cowboys say, we will see you your blocked field goal and raise you a blocked punt.
Darn right they did, Brad. That is our What a Play of the Game, brought to you by WinStar. It's the casino of the Dallas Cowboys. WinStar knows what it means to be a star. With over 10,000 of your favorite electronic games, the all-new 2-story WinStar Spawn Cascades, their luxury pool complex, WinStar really is the place to feel like a star. Please game responsibly. Cowboys now tied for the league lead with 3 blocked kicks in 2023. And since special teams coordinator Bones Fossil arrived in 2020, Cowboys lead the league in blocked kicks with 10 and blocked punts with 6. And I had somebody on social media reach out after the initial first blocked field goal and was like, man, you know, we've seen 2 fake punts go against Bones, and then you need to start looking at the special teams coordinator. It's like, man, it's hard to really do that when your punter's a Pro Bowler, your kicker, who he went scouted and found himself, is a Pro Bowler, and I just read that stat to you. And Cowboy fans, prior to 2020 when Bones Fossil came, how many times were you seeing blocked field goals and punts happen?
No.
Very rarely.
Yeah.
Now they're a pretty normal occurrence with 2 to 4 happening every year.
I didn't need to see the blocked field goal against us, though.
I'd prefer not to see that either.
Yeah.
But I think there's way more good than bad when it comes to Bones Fossil.
Well, I will say this. The fake punts.
The fake punts he needs to figure out.
Yeah. That's figure out, like, don't have a wide receiver on the outside.
Well, and I think we've done that.
You think we figured that out?
I think we figured that out.
Okay.
You know, I noticed the switch of right.
Yeah.
Over there instead of Tolbert.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think that
you
we're
think the
making
head coach might have said something to him?
I think he did.
Maybe the only coordinator in the league that wears a headset. Maybe the coach clicked over and said, "Hey, listen, maybe we don't want to get a fake on us again this week."
And there's some times, you know, Bones will go a little rogue. He'll send out a full-on block. And McCarthy's like, what the hell? I didn't know about this. They've got to have a talk about it.
Yeah.
But they love Bones Fossil.
Oh, sure.
In that building. He's fantastic at what he does. I mean, he runs practice as well. Yeah, I mean, you go out to camp, if you ever have the opportunity to go out to Oxnard, that voice you hear, team fundamentals. You know, he's getting everybody moved where they need to go. It's Bones.
Yeah.
That's Bones Fossil for you. Always high energy guy.
Please don't give up any more blocks or any more fakes.
Yeah, let's not do that.
We've seen enough of. But hey, congratulations on you getting. I'll tell you what though, that was textbook for Hendershot. The way that's what Sam Williams needed to do. In that situation, was that in Buffalo?
It was Buffalo. And how different could that game have gone?
That I'm not. It might not have been not different at all.
Maybe it wouldn't have.
It might not. But
you never know.
But we'd have talked about Bones Fossil.
But at least they blocked that.
They blocked that one, right? Yeah. Yeah, Bones to me is like, I think Bones has got some head coach. If you really watch the sidelines, you would swear that Bones Fossil is the head coach. You would swear it, that he's the head coach.
Yeah, very animated.
Very up and down the sidelines. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. All right, a lot of people wanting to know what's going on with Stefan Gilmore. We have given you an update, but we will hear from Stefan Gilmore now, and then I'm sure Bryan will fill in the blanks if Stefan doesn't give us the full detail on the injury that he suffered as we look forward to his status next week against Green Bay. Here's Gilly postgame.
Everybody wanted to know about the shoulder. Can you give us an update first on what you're dealing with? And there was a scary moment there on the field.
Yeah, it just popped out of place, and they popped it back. I feel way better now, so happy it wasn't nothing too crazy.
Sounds less than pleasant, you know.
Yeah.
But what are you looking at going forward? Because here comes the postseason next year.
I'm excited. You know, this is why you play the game, for the playoffs and to get to the bowl. So I'm excited for the opportunity we have. We're going to be at home, so it's going to be exciting.
You say this is why you play the game. This is why they brought you here. For your experience in the postseason, what can you tell the other guys about what it takes to be dominant in the playoffs like you have been in the past?
Just do what we know we can do. Just play the ball we know we can play and depend on each other and take advantage of the opportunity because it's so hard to get here. And I think we got the guys to do it. We just got to take it one game at a time.
Congratulations, Stefan.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Again about what happened with the injury. You said it popped out of place.
Yeah, it just popped out and they popped it back in place. So I feel way better now. So I'm just excited for this week.
Have you ever had to deal with that before?
Never. So
pretty painful.
At first, yeah, but it's way better now. So
not something that'll keep you out next week.
No.
How important was it to get this home game, potentially 2 home games in the playoffs, rather than just making it?
It's very important. Playing in front of our fans at home, sleeping in your same bed. Just being used to everything. That's a big advantage. But at the end of the day, we got to go out there and execute. So I don't know who we play yet, but it's going to be a big challenge. It's playoff football.
And Stefan Gilmore, certainly we did find out, he had told us about that there.
Subluxation is what that's called.
When it pops in and out.
Yep.
And he's expected hopefully to be good to go for next week against Green Bay. And we now know the official day and time. The Dallas Cowboys will be hosting the Green Bay Packers at 3:30 Central Time.
There you go.
Sunday afternoon. So Sunday at 3:30. We were wondering, okay, would it be Sunday night maybe? But it'll be that 3:30 window, much like 2 years ago when they hosted the San Francisco 49ers in that slot on Fox. Or actually, I believe that was on CBS. I think that was a Romo and Nance game.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we've seen which network.
Making sure we didn't get butt cracked on this one.
Gets that one. I'm seeing a ton of it. It's official.
Yeah.
Michael Gelkin's tweeting it out. Shefty's tweeting it out. So it'll be Packers at Cowboys 3:30 on Sunday.
Well, that's good.
At AT&T.
I thought we were going to catch the night tilt on that one. So they're probably hoping again. Like I said, they're probably hoping for a snow game. What snow game could they put on
Sunday
that?
Night Football? They'll go. All right, Buffalo hosting Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That's the only. Maybe Kansas City. Could Kansas City get a snow game?
Kansas City could get a snow game.
Maybe
Sure.
we get Kansas City. I mean, it'd be fun if you get Miami in Kansas City for a snow game. I mean, that limits both offenses a little bit, but the return of Tyreek Hill, I'm sure, is one that will be a juicy storyline if indeed that happens and the Bills beat the Dolphins. Miami currently up 14-7 as they've got just over 20 seconds to play there in the first half. But there it is, 3:30 Central Time, right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. We'll have pregame starting at about 12:30, and it will be on Fox. So again, it'll be our friends Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi.
They took a break from us this week.
Let's go.
Yeah, got to bring them back.
Yes. So that'll be fun. So 3:30 on Fox, and of course you can listen right here on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Very excited for that. We know when and we know where at AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys are the only undefeated team at home this year, looking to make it 17 in a row on Sunday afternoon. 877-881-1053. Let's go back out to the phone. Zack Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus. We got the Drizzle calling in from Waxahachie. The Drizzle, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I want to say looking forward to Crawfish, Broaddus, and Wolchuk. Happy fatherhood to come. And it's going to be awesome. Guys, I called you 2 weeks ago after the Bills trounced us, and I told you that the Cowboys would win the East.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that call.
Nope, I don't.
You get a lot of calls. You talk to a lot of people all the time.
I sure do.
But I told you we were going to win.
You were right. You were right, Drizzle, and I appreciate the positivity.
Do you remember
there.
the call?
I don't.
Okay.
Because Drizzle's right. Now, the name the Drizzle I do recognize, so I believe that he did call. But, I certainly was not feeling optimistic. I'll admit that, and I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
I thought the Cowboys had blown their opportunity. I didn't think that the Eagles would implode quite the way that they have. But the Cowboys took care of business as well. They got the win against the Lions last week. They got their win today, and they're NFC East champs. But for all the fans out there that still believed, kudos to you, and I hope you're celebrating tonight. Let's go to Braden in Tyler. Braden, what's going on?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good. We're fantastic, man. We're NFC East champs.
Good. I just want to talk about CeeDee Lamb tonight. I mean, he's coming off of the Detroit game, obviously biggest game of his career. I just want to give kudos to him. He was coming off of last season. They were talking about him being a fringe wide receiver one. I just want to give him kudos. And after the San Francisco game, the big debacle that was him going to Mike McCarthy, and kudos to Mike McCarthy as well for giving him the opportunity and proving why he's top 3 wide receiver in the NFL, arguably. And I just want to get your guys' take on the Jimmy Johnson curse, on that being lifted. I just want to see what you guys wanted to think about that. And in the words of Jimmy Johnson, how about them Cowboys?
How about them? How about them Cowboys?
Do you believe in a curse?
I don't know that I don't know. I don't think that I really did.
No. I think you just played bad football.
I think
really
so
do.
too.
I think you played bad football. I think you weren't ready at times for some of these games. I don't think you had the good enough players at times, You let things get away from you. You weren't attention to detail.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a curse. That's you just going out there and peeing down your leg.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
You know, I mean, the Rodgers thing I definitely bought. He was a pain in the buns to deal with.
He's hard to deal with, man. That's what I'm saying. You've got to have players to deal with guys like that. That's what playoff football is. You know, it really is about how good your players are on that particular day.
Yeah.
I really don't buy the curse on that. It's always fun to kind of talk about.
It's fun. And look, if they go on their run this year, maybe we can joke about it, look back and say, but it was always the curse of Jimmy all along. But no, I mean, it used to be a curse to wear the Navy jerseys.
No.
And they've won plenty of games this year.
Plenty of games in those
wearing
Navy
the
jerseys.
Navy.
Yeah.
So I don't really believe in it either. All right, let's go to Daniel in Fort Worth. Daniel, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you, Daniel.
Hey, Wooly Bully, congratulations on the baby. I'm so happy for you. Bryan Broaddus, I literally fall asleep to you. I'm the definition of a Tolo. I just want to give Mike McCarthy his flowers, if that's okay.
Sure.
I mean, I'm telling you, Choppy compares them to Sean Payton, and they look at them. But, can I ask you guys a question? Mm-hmm. Would you take John Harbaugh or Mike McCarthy?
Harbaugh.
I think I would lean Harbaugh as well. Harbaugh's won a Super Bowl.
Harbaugh's been in
so
a lot.
is McCarthy, but Harbaugh's teams.
They're a tough team.
They are.
They're tough. They adapt.
Fundamentally sound.
They adapt.
You don't necessarily
to detail.
The attention to detail. I think that's what sets it apart.
Mike's done a hell of a job. No offense.
He has. It's that's not a slide on Mike McCarthy at all. I think Harbaugh's a top 3 coach.
I'll tell you this. I have a history with Harbaugh. Mike Lombardi. When we were in Philadelphia in '98, we brought Harbaugh in the league. He was a special teams coach at the University of Indiana.
There you go.
And he was going to get a better position. And we had to convince Indiana that we weren't just hiring him for some slappy position, go get coffee guy.
Yeah.
He was our special teams coach in Philly. So yeah, I mean, this guy is a hell of Mike McCarthy's a hell of a football coach. But you give me this guy, his ability to evaluate players, his the way the players play for him, his understanding of analytics and all that stuff like that. I'll take that guy.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that that's any discredit to Mike McCarthy. I think McCarthy.
You asked the question.
I think that he has been also kind of slighted on some of these lists of the top coaches. But Harbaugh also has had sustained playoff success. Also won a Super Bowl like McCarthy. Been to multiple conference championships.
The roster.
But you're right. I mean, every year we're sitting there, we're doing the draft. We're looking up. It's like who had the best draft? The Ravens.
The Ravens did. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Yeah. And they do it because they have they've married their scouting department to the coaching staff.
Yep.
And that's why they have the players they have.
All right, let's go to Robert in Richmond, Virginia. Robert, what's cooking?
Hey, guys, what's going on? Happy New Year to y'all.
Thank you, too.
Hey, just wanted to touch base with y'all and say, how about them Cowboys? I'm feeling real good because I was so into these 8-8, 8-8, and 8-8, and in the last game we lose them. So now we 12-5, 12-5, and 12-5. It's the best feeling ever right now for me. So, but I wanted to give y'all a thing about we got upcoming week. We got to kill these Green Bay Packers. How well do y'all think these linebackers are going to play, and the offensive line? They're the keys to my winning and losing, protecting that, and the linebackers making plays.
Yeah, today Damone Clark
might have had his best game as a Dallas Cowboy.
Being able to diagnose and read and react, really.
Yeah.
That's what Leighton Vander Esch helped him so much with, was sometimes he didn't always read it, so he's late to react. When you've seen him get into trouble, that would be why.
Yeah. Yeah, that was – but you look at Clark, by the way, man, Buffalo just got – oh, my gosh. Buffalo had a chance to score right before the half. They got stopped on the half-yard line.
Wow.
Ball goes inside there to the back, and, man, it just –
big-time hit, too.
Yeah, big-time hit right there. Can't be – Sean McDonough can't be happy. Very happy about that. They come away with no points there. So, halftime, it's the Dolphins 14, the Bills 7. But, yeah, to me, Clark, if he continues to play like he did today – That's the huge. but they don't have linebackers. I mean, they really don't have linebackers. They've got safeties that are playing linebackers. That's kind of where we are right now with this team.
Yeah, I think it's hard to assess week to week. What are you going to get?
It's really hard to assess what they're going to get. But if Damone Clark keeps playing like he does, and then they can supplement around him like with what they've done, well, then they'll be fine.
Schedule for Wild Card Weekend is slowly trickling out. We'll tell you everything you need to know to get you set for the Wild Card matchups. Cowboys-Packers will be at 3:30 at AT&T Stadium on Sunday afternoon, a week from today. We'll tell you more about that. Back to the player locker room audio with Micah Parsons, Tony Pollard, and your calls and texts 877-881-1053. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Attention.
Here's Howell back to throw, 3rd and long all day. Now hit as he throws over the middle. Intercepted at the 35-yard line. Donovan Wilson comes away with the Cowboys' second takeaway of the game.
That is our defensive stand of the game, brought to you by Reliant, an NRG company. Really swung, I think, the fortune of the game. And the Cowboys were somewhat in control there. But you get that interception from Donovan Wilson, another game for him with a pick, as he's been brilliant down the stretch. That was right before the half. Cowboys then went on for a touchdown drive.
Yeah.
Dak to CeeDee for their first one to go up 21-10.
You're absolutely right. That swung the game.
It was 14-10 at that point.
Yeah.
And the Commanders are driving in a sense, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're feeling as though, this one is in doubt. It was a little bit there. Donovan Wilson gets the interception. Cowboys go down the field, score to make it 21-10, and they get that double dip, as we mentioned, in the middle eight there, coming out of half, both of those touchdowns for CeeDee Lamb. All right, Zack Wolchuk alongside the Super Bowl winning scout Bryan Broaddus, 877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. But we do have your super wild card schedule. Are you ready for this, Bryan Broaddus?
Ready.
Ready. All right, here we go. Starting at 3:30 Central Time, the AFC slot, which will be on NBC, Peacock, and Telemundo. It will be the Cleveland Browns going to Houston to take on C.J. Stroud and the AFC South champion, Houston Texans. So the Browns and Texans will open up Super Wildcard Weekend, followed by night game, and this could be just as you called it, snow possibilities. 7 o'clock Central. This will be specifically on Peacock. It will be the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Miami Dolphins or the Buffalo Bills taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. So they did put Mahomes in the Chiefs. And your guy, Andy Reid, on the Peacock game.
How about that?
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So if
I'm
Buffalo
making a prediction. Buffalo.
Okay.
Buffalo is
going
to have to go to Kansas City. My prediction.
All right, there we go. Man, that'd be fun. Buffalo and Kansas City, that'd be a blast. Then on Sunday, we kick off at noon. This one will be on CBS. It will be Pittsburgh at...
I'm going to predict the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, there we go. So it will be Miami hosting that game based on the winner there. This is still the one that we got to wait and see what happens with this game tonight.
Predicting stuff.
Then the afternoon game on Sunday, Packers at the Cowboys. That will be on Fox 3:30, but you can hear it on your home of the Cowboys, the flagship 105.3, and, of course, across the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, which you're listening to right now.
Okay, so that means 12:30 pregame, me and Eric out in the plaza.
Yep.
Weather should be nice. Come see us. Let's fight some Packer fans when we're out there, right?
Let's do it. Make sure, hey, Cowboy fans, don't be selling your tickets, and make sure you claim all the tickets.
Yes.
I'm sure they're going to be pricey and expensive, but it's playoff football. I mean, we're going for 17 in a row at AT&T Stadium.
Have 17.
You and I have never lost, and we've done a Miller Lite Club post-game show.
Your fandom is important.
We need you.
We need you.
Make the noise. And then Sunday night is going to be Matthew Stafford and the Rams to return.
I should have known.
To Detroit.
Well, how about golf on the other end playing against the Rams?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
Both those teams, the quarterbacks, they swapped. The Lions, their first ever home game at Ford Field, which is insane because I think that stadium opened in 2005, maybe even earlier than that. I think they hosted the Super Bowl, maybe it was in 2005. Might open in 2003. Building's been around for a while, but they're going to host their first playoff game, and it'll be the Rams of L.A. with Sean McVay and their former quarterback Matthew Stafford. Then Monday night on ESPN with our buddy Troy Aikman and, of course, Joe Buck, it'll be the Eagles and the Buccaneers.
Buccaneers, back-to-back years of being in the playoffs and having to do the Monday night game. Wow.
I was surprised. I didn't think the Cowboys would get the Monday night game because I didn't think they'd do that 2 years in a row. I just didn't think they'd want to do that to any team 2 years in a row. They are doing it to the Bucs, and I guess Fox won out in the bidding war for the Packers and the Cowboys game.
All right, if under my scenario with Cleveland at Houston, who do you like just off the rip?
I like Cleveland.
All right, Buffalo at Kansas City.
Give me Buffalo.
All right, Pittsburgh at Miami.
I'm gonna go Miami.
Dallas and Green Bay.
Of course, I'm taking Dallas.
L.A. Detroit.
I'm going to take the Rams.
Philadelphia at Tampa.
Give me the Bucs.
All right. So that means you've got a 6 seed winning. So that 6 seed would go to
San
Francisco,
and they just beat them today. Now, granted, both teams are playing with backups,
and then you would catch
the Bucs.
The Bucs.
Would that not be opportune?
That'd be crazy.
Like somebody texted and said, "Hey, what's your dream scenario?" And you're right. You got to play whoever you play.
Right. You got to play whoever you play.
In my dream world, I would love, of course, you beat Green Bay, then you get Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, and then you're able to stay at AT&T Stadium for the NFC Championship game, and it's the Rams who go and knock off the Niners.
Because you're hoping the Rams.
Yeah, that would be nice. All 3 games, we get to hang out in Arlington, where the Cowboys have been undefeated, and maybe, just maybe, you finally go to the Super Bowl.
So your scenario would be Green Bay. Your path would be Green Bay, Tampa, Rams.
Yep.
Is what you want to do.
I like our chances.
Well, we're homering it up right now.
We're homering it up, baby.
Yeah.
But hey, it's going to be fun. All of these games I could see going really either way. A lot will hinge on what happens with Miami and Buffalo and the AFC side of things as they're playing right now. But let's go ahead and pause 10 seconds to allow stations to identify themselves across the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Your turn it on, leave it on. Home of America's team is 105.3 The Fan. Hello, baby. KRLD FM and HD1, Dallas Fort Worth.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
And I know somebody texted, "Hey, why Peacock? They don't have it." I understand that was just part of the deal. You know, when the NFL made their partnership with the streaming services, Peacock has claimed one playoff game.
One game.
And they will get that Chiefs game versus either the Steelers, the Dolphins, or the Bills.
Yep.
Which will be very interesting.
Buffalo.
You think it's going to be Buffalo?
I think it's Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if that ends up happening.
Come on,
now.
Fish.
877-881-1053, the number to call, the number to text. But let's hear from your 1,000-yard back, Tony Pollard. Certainly been a frustrating season for TP, but he did join the list of Cowboys running backs to have 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons. Here's Tony Pollard.
Tony, can you talk about just how meaningful it is to surpass that 1,000-yard mark, especially given the challenges you guys had this season on the ground?
Yeah, I mean that's a big milestone for us. For me, myself personally, and the O-line. I know they pride themselves in having 1,000-yard back every year, so that was big for us, and to get that momentum going.
And you guys had a bounce-back game on the ground over last week against the Lions. Was there anything different that you guys did in practice? Because it was certainly impressive, especially given that Zack was out on the last week.
I mean, just detailing everything a little bit more, taking our time, being a little bit more patient, detailing things, making sure everybody knew what we had to do, and going out there execute.
How important was it to kind of get the good momentum going on the ground going into the playoffs?
I mean, in this league, that's something that you have to do in the playoff. December football, when it's cold, January, you got to be able to pound the ball and throw the ball at the same time. So us being able to show that today was big.
Obviously, there was road struggle conversation has been one to be talked about. Obviously, finishing the way you guys did today. You walk a little taller out of this locker room, being the division champs.
I mean, we'll enjoy it for the moment, but we know it's on to the next. We got to focus, put our attention to the next opponent, and be ready to lock in.
There is Tony Pollard following a 38-10 Cowboys win on the road against Washington. I did love Dak and a lot of the players post-game. Didn't even want to wear the NFC's championship hat because they've got bigger goals that they want to accomplish. And I think a lot of fans, while it is sweet to win the NFC East, it always is to win the division. You take that away from the Eagles, but it certainly is. The time has come now to punch your ticket to at least a conference championship game. Let's make some serious deep noise in the postseason.
Yeah, this is one of those. This goes back to Jason Garrett. Remember, he said, wear the hat for one night, you enjoy the hat, and then give the hat to somebody in your family. Give the T-shirt to somebody in your family. We got bigger things to think about. So I think they took that page. I think Dak took that page from Garrett, probably that speech, when he wasn't telling him to give him the 17-inch speech.
Yeah, that's 17 inches.
Yeah.
Did you ever find that shirt, by the way?
I need to keep looking for that
shirt. You really
shirt.
do. That thing was.
I need to find
it.
It
was a home run for you walking through the groceries.
Yeah, it was. I wore it one time and then never again.
Why?
People were like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, well, they don't.
I had
get
to
it.
explain.
It's a great story. It's a great conversation starter. I think that
Mike McDaniel is 11-0 and leading at half. By the way,
he's a wizard.
Yeah.
He really, really is. And a lot of his. Now, I do believe Miami, if they win this game, Buffalo will rematch them next week. So it would be this same game next week if Miami wins. So Buffalo.
So we did say KC, right?
So yes. So Kansas City would then.
It's the. What am I saying? It's. How did I do that? How did I mess that up?
Steelers. There's a lot of moving parts here, Brian. I don't blame you for messing it up.
No, because that's two. That's what is. Houston is 4 versus 5, right?
Houston's 4 versus 5.
Kansas City's
the 3.
So that would mean
Buffalo would be the 7 seed.
Buffalo would be 7 or Pittsburgh?
I believe so.
Pittsburgh. Okay, so
no, because Miami would be the 2, right?
Yes.
So yeah, they would host Buffalo, who would be the 7. So Pittsburgh would be the 6.
Okay,
which still is just weird and doesn't make any sense. But maybe it's Pittsburgh beat them head to head.
How did I mess that up?
It's it happens.
There are people calling me out on it.
Nobody's calling you out.
No, they should.
But I just saw that I believe that if Miami wins, it's a rematch.
Yeah.
So that's just what I'm seeing, and maybe I'm getting cracked.
So Buffalo would be the 7 there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the schedule coming out, the NFC one's easy. We know what's happening in the NFC.
Yeah.
It's Cowboys, Packers Sunday afternoon. Eagles, Bucks are Monday Night Football. And then you're getting, of course, Rams and Lions. That's Sunday Night Football. This thing is going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. And, of course, hopefully the Cowboys slay the Green Bay Packers and their cheesehead dragon with no Aaron Rodgers, and Jordan Love does not become the new boogeyman. All right, let's go back out to the phones. We got Warren, who's calling from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Warren, what's cooking?
Hey, Happy New Year, guys. Thank you so much for taking the call. Hey, what does playoff preparation during the mid part of the week look like? I am very optimistic. I really enjoy the game. I don't want the Cowboys to overlook the Green Bay Packers. I want them to just go in here and just knock this out. But I just want to know what the preparation during the mid part of the week looks like.
Like if it's any different to a regular season week?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
No,
Bryan, you would know.
They'll rest all their guys. It'll be the same thing they do every Wednesday. They rest all their guys. Tyron Smith isn't going to practice. I don't think they change a thing.
Yeah, you hear that all the time. Like it's just another game. You want to keep your same routine. You want to keep, maybe there's a little bit extra film study that goes on from a quarterback or whoever. The players take it upon themselves. But
it's gonna be the same.
It should
week.
be business as usual.
Yep, absolutely.
That type of deal. All right, let's go to David in LA. David, you're on the official postgame show of the Dallas Cowboys.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Hey, a couple of things. I wanted to say that. What I wanted to say was that Mike McCarthy is a better coach than the Cowboys talent is. I think that he deserves a lot of credit. There's maybe 4 or 5 coaches in the league that I would think are better than him. In fact, there are more quarterbacks that I'd rather have than Dak than there are coaches that I'd rather have than McCarthy.
You called in the last week talk about this guy, didn't you?
Yeah, I'm a fan, man.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to say was that 95, the last time they won the Super Bowl, things lined up similarly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, San Francisco was the best team in the league that year. I went to the Cowboys. I went to Texas Stadium and watched Elvis Gerback destroy them.
There we go.
Sure.
But they got lucky and they had a better path. The only difference is that this year, like back then, the Cowboys were much closer to being an elite team than the squad is this year. So the difference is, hopefully they'll have the exact same scenario that you guys pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate the call there, David. I mean, certainly Coach McCarthy deserves a lot of credit. They've won 12 games now 3 years in a row. Jerry Jones, and I saw this from our buddy Clarence Hill, and we played some of the Jerry audio earlier. Jerry did even say, because we saw reports, coming out from other outlets about the future of Mike McCarthy. He said, "Hey, it's going to determine. We'll go week to week in the playoffs. How does this team do in the postseason ultimately?" And the same thing goes with the quarterback when we talk about Dak, and that's why we'll take these calls all the time, and it's about what do you do in the postseason? Can you beat the good teams? Can you win when it matters? And I think that as a fan base, we are so starved right now to at least kick through that divisional playoff round door and see a conference championship, and then we'll go from there. But, give Mike McCarthy his flowers. He deserves it. He's done a fantastic job, specifically offensively, being willing to listen and adapt. And this offense has been completely different. CeeDee Lamb's benefited. Dak Prescott's benefited. Now we're in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. All right, let's go to X-Man, Xavier, in South Carolina. How you doing, X?
Hey, how y'all doing?
We're fantastic, man.
What's up, Broaddus?
Hey, what's up?
I remember we talked Friday.
Yeah.
When you was on G-Bag Nation.
Yeah.
I told you I was drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I got a double cup tonight.
That
was a great win. The guys look good. I think McCarthy is finally, and I wasn't a McCarthy fan in the beginning, but he's earned my respect. He's a hell of a coach. 3 12-win seasons. Got to give him his credit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, X. I appreciate that. All right, Michael.
Hope he has playoff success.
I do too.
That would help.
And it would be, he's going to dodge the questions, but it's going to mean maybe not as much as it would have meant to go to Lambeau, but a playoff game, you're able to beat your old team in the Packers. It's going to mean something.
Mean a lot.
Michael in California. Michael, what's up?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? First and foremost, thank you for taking my call. Happy New Year to the whole Cowboys Nation.
Yeah.
I'm really amazed by this complete turnaround. I mean, I knew they were going to the playoffs. We all knew that. But after those 2 losses in Buffalo and then also in Miami, I'm just completely shocked at how things turned around, and now we're the number 2 seed with two home playoff games, and I think that's awesome. So thank you for taking my call. God bless you all, and how about them Cowboys?
How about them Cowboys, Michael? I appreciate
can't believe how bad Philadelphia played down the stretch.
Me too.
That's amazing to me. I mean, maybe
we probably should have looked closer at the Arizona game for the reasons you mentioned. Their former coach, Jonathan Gannon.
Oh no, Gannon wanted to win that game. That you knew that. I mean, Arizona had a chance to, I think, win today.
They did. They played Seattle very tough. Look, give Kyler Murray, Allen's own, a lot of credit. That team played much better since he came back.
I'll tell you, Arizona did a great job, and Philadelphia is a broken football team.
They are.
That's why you probably expect Tampa to find a way to beat them at home this week.
Yep, the quarterback's hurt. A.J. Brown will have to wait and see the severity of his knee injury. He left today. Sidney Brown is out for the season, their safety.
Yeah.
He had some ligament damage as well. That was a player that we liked a lot coming out of Illinois during the draft. So they're banged up. I know, Tampa Bay, some people have texted, they're banged up as well. But Bucks, Baker Mayfield, you never know what you're quite going to get from him. But when he's on, Bucks still have a lot of talent on that roster. But that is an Eagles team that looks broken and looks like they are ready to go home.
I'm just surprised they fell apart as bad as
insane.
they did.
10-1.
Yeah.
And they were winning a lot of one-possession, one-score games, much like Minnesota did a year ago. But an interesting development there for the Eagles, and I'm happy to witness their misery. All right, let's put a bow on this one. Look ahead to next week. AJ in New Mexico, I see you. We'll get to you after the break. We'll also hear from Micah Parsons. Dallas Cowboys football will continue in a moment.
Did you know that responding to one spam call can lead to more? Or that the IRS would...
of the Dallas Cowboys. American Airlines, proud to be the official airline of your Dallas Cowboys. And by Ford, your Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
3rd and goal, and Prescott in the gun. Dowdle to his left. Snap is back, looking right, throwing it right. Cooks right side of the end zone. Perfect throw, my goodness. Touchdown, Brandon Cooks. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Gorgeous touch pass to Brandon Cooks as Dak Prescott is our player of the game. Brought to you by Jack Black. Want to use with the pros? Use Jack Black as the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit getjackblack.com today. How
so
about
what,
Dak
Bitcoin?
Prescott?
No Bitcoin on that one?
No Bitcoin.
No Bitcoin.
We nailed that one. We've come a long way since the preseason. Dak, 31 of 36, 279 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the one interception that was tipped today. QBR was 94.5. Dak finishes the season leading all quarterbacks in touchdown passes with 36. He had just 9 interceptions.
There you
so
go.
that quote where he wouldn't have 10 interceptions again, 10 or more.
Man of his word.
Ended up, being very, very accurate. Completion percentage. He's got an opportunity to be amongst the top in the NFL as well. Passing yards, he's in the top 5 of that category. So it's just an absolutely outstanding season for Dak Prescott, as he is indeed our player of the game. The Cowboys are going to need that to carry over into this coming Sunday afternoon when the Green Bay Packers come to town for the wild card round. 3:30 will be kickoff at AT&T Stadium. Of course, we'll have postgame until 9:30, pregame coverage at 12:30 here on the Dallas Cowboys radio network. I did tease a couple of phone calls that we have left. Let's hit those now. Let's got AJ in New Mexico. You're on with Zach Wolchuk and the Super Bowl winning scout, Bryan Broaddus.
Hi, gentlemen. How's it going? Happy New Year.
Happy New
Thank you
Year.
for taking the time. So I just wanted to bring up the playoff run. So I would also love a run of, Packers, Bucks, Rams, or anything where we don't have to leave Arlington. But I think realistic would be something like Packers, Lions, Niners. Those teams that have a real good front seven can really stop the run. And we've seen that this year already. So my main question was going to be player personnel-wise. We've seen a lot of success short yardage with Luepke and Dowdle. And as much as I love Tony Pollard, I don't trust him anymore in those short yardage, 1, 2, 4th down type of plays. Do you think we'll get to see some of those bigger guys mixed in more when we need it?
Bigger guys mixed in how?
Yeah, I just don't know that you have the personnel to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I can understand. Is he talking about Lipke and also with Dowdle? I'm confused a little bit of the question.
I think that's what it is along the offensive line. I mean, look, maybe with Lyle Collins, if they want to get creative and they go back to some of that Hulk-type package
Yeah, the
stuff.
big package, yeah.
I mean, that could be something that you wrinkle in there.
I think they're really comfortable with Hunter Lipke playing fullback.
The improvement he's had as a blocker, you even saw it today.
Oh, no,
just
absolutely.
On the naked eye.
Yeah.
I mean, it's night and day from when he started.
Absolutely it is, yeah. I think so.
All right, let's go to Damian in Mansfield. Damian, what's going on?
Hello, Broaddus.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, I respect you so much as a former Packer scout,
Mm-hmm.
and I love you as a Super Bowl champion because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But let me just clarify to all these callers that keep saying that the Cowboys have 2 playoff games at home.
Yeah.
The only way that happens,
They
you
got to
got to win
beat
the first.
They got to beat Green Bay, no question. They have
You're right.
they have the possibility.
Yeah,
They have the possibility. If Dallas loses this game today, they're not going to win. Their Super Bowl existence was all about today. The only chance they have is to play home games, in my opinion. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think he's a Green Bay fan because he's saying, he's talking about Green Bay.
Yeah, and of course. I mean, that's the way the playoff works.
They absolutely.
You got to make sure you win in advance.
You have to. Yeah, you lose.
But you have the possibility of 2.
Yeah, you
Whereas this team has not proven that they can be very successful. They're not the same team on the road.
They're not. They're absolutely not. Yeah.
Greg in Dallas will be our final call of the night. Greg, what's going on?
Hey, guys. I love your post-game show. With all this flu that was going around and y'all were talking about, well, gee, didn't we learn anything from COVID and aren't they spraying down the stuff? I have a theory. I think the kids are bringing it home from school to their
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I was talking to some staff members today when we found out about Martin. he legitimately got sick overnight. Like they've been struggling, you know, and it's difficult. It's difficult in the locker room. And trust me, they do keep that place spotless. I mean, legitimately spotless. So yeah, stuff that happens at home, absolutely a possibility.
Yep.
But Zach Martin got sick overnight. That was, I mean, you know, we talked to him on Thursday on the flagship station, 105.3 The Fan. You know, and he didn't talk about, I'm feeling a little down. I mean, he was looking forward to the game and stuff like that. But talking to staff members right before the game, they said he got legitimate flu and couldn't go.
Hopefully.
Didn't even go to the game.
Yeah, no, he wasn't even there on the sideline at all. So,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think that's absolutely true. I mean, this stuff's going around. The 49ers are dealing with it too. The Cowboys aren't the only team in the National Football League dealing with the spread of the illness, but hopefully Zach's good to go for next week. Final bit of audio we have for you. Micah Parsons, possibly your defensive player of the year, although his teammate Deron Bland in that conversation. He got his 9th league-leading interception today as well. Credit D. Bland. But here's Micah, the Lion postgame.
Micah, you earned that hat in winning the NFC East championship. Can you speak to this group and what that means to this team?
Yeah, just being resilient. You know, just always focused on what's ahead, never looking in the past. And we kind of just, you know, we just all committed and said we're just going to keep going no matter what happens, no matter what anybody else is doing. And today we're champions.
The first quarter was a little shaky for a little bit of the game, and then all of a sudden you guys turned it on, it seemed. Did you kind of feel everything swing in that moment, or what happened there?
Yeah, you know, they made a great play with the block kick, 10-point swing, and then they end up scoring that possession. So it goes up. So we go from being potentially 10-0 to 7-7, and obviously with the batted ball to an interception, they had a momentum, but never in doubt. Wasn't phased. We've been there before. Got some great stops ourselves and takeaways, and was able to make some shape.
We're still waiting for the next holding call, but you did get the 14th sack. You know, what does that mean to you to be able to get a career high this year? It's a team game, I know, but at the same time, that's probably something that means a lot.
Yeah, you know, I prided on myself on being 13, and you know, it just means I'm just getting better and better. I think this year I improved in almost every aspect of my game. Really committed to getting better and coming into better shape and just everything overall. So really happy where I'm at right now, but I'll be really excited if I get to where we're going to.
Micah, you're going to make your 3rd trip to the playoffs. How does this team feel differently where it's at than the last two?
You know, I would say we're about the same. You know, we still feel really confident going against the best. It's just all about execution and just being the best on that Sunday.
Micah, obviously you keep tabs around the league. Just what do you look at with Green Bay and what that's going to present for you guys?
You know, they created a great deal, obviously, with their elite run game. And, you know, Jordan Love, the way he's come on towards the end of the game, big fan of him, good friend of mine. So, you know, it's going to be a really exciting matchup, great matchup. And, you know, Cowboys, Packers, you know, it don't get better than that.
A lot of history there. Cowboys, Packers.
I've been on the wrong end of that one a few times.
Hopefully we're on the right end of it this coming Sunday. That would be a blessed. Credit Micah, 14th sack of the season, a career best. He's the 5th NFL player since 1982 with at least 40 career sacks in his first 3 NFL seasons, joining Reggie White, Derek Thomas, Aldon Smith, and Dwight Freeney as the only other players to do it. A couple Hall of Famers on that list. Maybe
Derek
Micah.
Thomas was a blur.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Certainly on that Hall of Fame trajectory. And I believe Dwight Freeney, another finalist, along with Darren Woodson for this year. So Micah, going to need him to get after it. He mentioned Jordan Love there, who's been playing some good football as of late to help get Green Bay into the playoffs. That is your matchup, 3:30 Central Time, AT&T Stadium, Packers at the Cowboys. Pregame starting at 12:30. Postgame will rock until 9:30 as we were doing here today. So final thoughts as the Cowboys put a bow on their 12-5 NFC championship season and move on to the playoffs.
Yeah, did exactly what they had to do. Quarterback played very well. Your star wide receiver was outstanding. The 2 young kids filling in at guard got you through it. There was no real problems there. And, you know, you got to work on the special team stuff. You know, can't have them block kicks. Can't have block kicks. And that's unfortunate, but nice to see Aubrey come back and knock that 50-yarder to get that confidence back.
10 for 10 from 50-plus. How about this from Babel Offenberg? Dak, the first quarterback in the league to lead the league in interceptions, then followed up by leading the league in touchdown passes since.
How about that?
Hall of Famer Bob Waterfield.
Bob Waterfield from the Los Angeles Rams.
There you go. 1945 to 1946. Pretty incredible nugget there.
He was an actor.
From Baby. I feel like a lot of those old guys were.
Yeah, had to be an actor while you played football.
Doing absolutely. That's awesome. All right, thank you so much to everybody who's been a part of this one. Ross Lubinsky, Justin Honore. Of course, we had Alec Medford as well.
Thanks for a great year, Alec.
Stuff,
Appreciate
Alec.
you, brother.
I think Peyton
You're the
Russell
best. Yeah.
going to slide back into that. Of course, our calls and texts. Tim Collins, Gavin Spittle, Eric Chiafalo for doing the pregame coverage, DJ Pridemore, Ruben Portillo, of course, who do the engineering. Everybody who called in, we appreciate you. In case you missed it, your schedule for Wild Card Weekend will be Cleveland at Houston, 3:30 on Saturday. Your AFC night game will be at 7:15 with whomever it ends up being, the Steelers or the Dolphins taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday at noon will end up being the winner of this one hosting the Steelers on Sunday. And then Packers, Cowboys at 3:30. Sunday night will be Rams at the Lions. And then Monday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles will be going to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. And the Eagles are not looking very good. But 12:30 pregame coverage next Sunday here on the Dallas Cowboys radio network, and then we'll have the postgame going until 9:30. Excited. Now, this is what it's all about. Dallas Cowboys playoff football. Everything hanging in the balance. Get ready. Be loud. Be proud. Until next week, hugs and hand pounds, everybody. And until then, you're listening to the Dallas Cowboys radio network.
Every moment, every touchdown, every yard.